Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you're well. Happy Ballsmick Wednesday. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. It's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. You don't have to miss anything, but sometimes you miss things. When that happens, go get caught up at your leisure because we'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault every day upon the conclusion of the program. You can email the show if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameron.show. WTSM app for your mobile devices. And, of course, we're on YouTube as well. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you're well. Just type in ESPN Tallahassee and you're good there. My levels are off, Tom.
Had a lot of work in the studio earlier today. I apologize.
My levels are off.
I am so sorry, Jacobim. My mistake.
I'm like, damn it, man. What's going on with these levels? This is not the way. It's what happens when we're not organized.
My mistake, Jacobim. Your mistake indeed.
All right. No, I'm in a very FSU-centric mindset here. Imagine that. But no, especially so today. I literally just came from over there at the Moore Athletic Center and talked with a lot of players and a lot of coaches. And that included a good 20-plus minute sit-down with Jimbo Fisher. So you feel like I can lend some insight into the camp's goings and comings and all the goodness that's going on there and their headspace and you know where we're at this point. Because doesn't it feel real? Doesn't it feel? It's starting to. The other side, the second half of this camp, Jimbo saying today that while he's talked often of the youth that have the influx of the young talent and the impact they're having on the camp and on the veterans, he also said today that, you know what, I'm really eager to see how they play now because they're ratcheting it up. It's time to go. It's game time. It's time to really see what you got. The rubber's meeting the road. Can some of these young guys, as surprising as they've been, step in and play right now? And, the feeling I get, Tom, and listen, this is what I do. This is my day job. This is my favorite part of my day every day is doing the Jeff Cameron Show from 3 to 6 and working with Tom and talking to you guys. But I did a cool thing today for SiriusXM, and I'm not going to prattle on about that, but I'm going to utilize what I did for them on this show because we're going to utilize the audio later in the week. And it's good stuff. I think it's going to be fun. But one of the things that kind of I gleaned today in talking to so many players and then talking to Jimbo Fisher was that they're excited. And that was the number one thing that I came away with. He's measured, Tom. He's really measured right now, but he's excited. And I think there may have been, this is me speculating, but I think there was a lesson learned from Coach Fisher just as there was by the team a year ago when how things went off the tracks. And Coach is talking glowingly about all of these young guys that are pushing the veteran players. But he always stops just short and says, well, we don't really know yet. What we know is they're smart and athletic, which if you're smart and athletic and you come in and you can pick up the scheme quickly, that means you can play at full speed. You don't have to think every play. When you're thinking, you're not really playing the way you would play in a game. So they picked it up. A lot of these young guys came in and picked it up right away, and they played at full speed. And that enabled them to be a part of the bigger picture, the drills. And that enabled them to see and to flash, right? Well, here's, though, where he has to decide whether or not they can play in a game. And to say that he thinks they're talented is one thing, and to say that he thinks that they'll have an impact. But then to take the step back and say, we don't know how much yet, though, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Now we're installed. Now it's about, do you truly can I trust you against Alabama?
Yeah, but it sounds like they're getting to a place he's not accustomed to seeing freshmen get because you usually don't hear this kind of talking point.
It's always a guy maybe, right?
However, I will say the biggest thing I take away from what you said, and I look forward to hearing the audio. I haven't had a chance to hear it yet myself, but he's got a qualifier in there. That's important because if you came in and said that he feels like this is as excited as he's been in years and everybody's doing everything they're supposed to do and there's accountability and there was no qualifier in there, my alarm bells would be going off because that's what it was last year. That's what it was. Granted, it wasn't in the middle of camp that Jimbo was saying that, but it's certainly the overview look that he gave. And I think one of the things, not to take away from the SiriusXM experiment, because that's not what I'm trying to do, or the media availability, but he has to kind of reset and go over the major talking points.
When he's talking to the national.
When he's talking to the national media. Now, us on the local beat, we did that weeks ago. We did that in Charlotte.
Right.
And then you get your opening of camp and then your day-to-day reports. But I'm just glad to hear that there's a qualifier with the excitement, because to me, learning the lesson from last year, that makes it more possible. That it might actually
be real.
A real thing. Yeah.
I think it is, too. He said that one of the reasons, and this is not, I mean, I'm not really allowed to take anything away from the Camp Tour show that's going to run tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I'll give you more details tomorrow. But the thing is he did say that he believes a lot of the younger players, and this will really excite you, Tom, if you're looking for qualifiers and if you're looking for reasons that make more sense other than a guy just pumping sunshine because he's talking to the national media. He said one of the reasons he believes the young guys came in and played well right away is obvious. There's obvious athleticism. I mean, but that's true of Ohio State and Alabama and anybody who recruits really well. So that's a given. You're going to bring in top caliber athletes. But he said, he's been very impressed with how intelligent a lot of those players are that came in. And then B, he believes that the veterans have allowed them to do that by helping them more readily assimilate into what the day-to-day operations look like, feel like, and look like on a daily basis. And it's just, that's exciting because last year's team, you had a lot of there was a disconnect somewhere. That's all I'll say. Something happened that wasn't right, and there was disconnect that caused a lot of problems. Some of it was injury, but there were other problems, and this thing was coming off the tracks, and they salvaged it. They saved the season. But it sounds like he's much more impressed with the veteran players and their efforts to bring the younger guys along.
Yeah, I think the hard part about this portion of the year, and camp's a couple days longer this year than it has been because there's no 2 days.
Right.
So even though the 2 days would include one walkthrough and one full contact practice, you're still expanding the coverage time for fall camp by a couple of days. And personally, I feel that. I feel like camp has gone on forever. We should be playing this weekend. But we still have 2 full weeks left of preparations. And the hard part about this year is deciphering and figuring out what's real, what's in my head, what am I projecting on what Jimbo says, what is he actually telling me, and how much is he really telling me? How much is coach speak?
We always have to do that with him, and any real coach, all the
any
coaches.
Coach.
Yeah, they all do that, yeah.
Any player. I mean, there could be a message that they want to get out there. So, especially on media day, if there's a common thread between position coaches and head coach, I always take a step back and go, oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. So you guys talked about this before you were available to us on a Sunday morning. But I have to say, I am more hopeful because it sounds like there is a more realistic reasoning behind why he's happy, why he likes this team. I just wonder if it also means at the same time, Jimbo could be excited about this group, but he might think that they have learning to do on the fly. It's just that they're close to getting to where they need to go. In other words, they could be disappointing, quote unquote, to the fan base in the Alabama game, but by the time we get through the month of September, he thinks they're right on track, right where they need to be.
Well, the big question mark for this season, if we're going to look big picture, it's a lot less about how ready are they to take on Alabama. I mean, that's the thing we're all excited about. That's the thing that the national media will focus on, and it's a huge game. And it's not lost on all of those kids that I talked to and that we've all talked to leading up to this day and leading up to camp or once camp started. And it's not lost on Jimbo Fisher because he brought it up today too. But it's an out-of-conference game. And if you're going to lose one of these first 3 against really good defenses, save for the respite right after Alabama, this would be the one to lose. And you may be playing your very best football at a time that you have to be playing your very best football, which is when you go on the road for a Clemson team that will have figured it out by the time we get there. So I think that's the thing. He has to keep them kind of eyes on the prize. Alabama's big. Got it. Huge game. Top flight programs, whole nation watching prime time. Big to do. But I do think Florida State's best football, there are 2 things I'm thinking about this team. I think Florida State's best football is going to happen well after the Alabama game. If you can survive that start with Miami and NC State and their defenses, and then, of course, the Alabama game to start it all off, If you can be 2-1, you are in really good shape to win the ACC and really good shape to make the college football playoff and to perhaps have a chance to get a second match with Alabama. That's a given. Everybody realizes that. But surviving it is easier said than done when the one question mark you have coming into the season is the offensive line, because I think that's really the biggest and most pertinent question, most important question. Your offensive line against those three defenses, you could be 1-2, and the whole country will have given up on you, and you may go on to go 10-2 and fight your way back in it, but it's unlikely. No two-loss team has made the playoff yet.
Well, we had two questions entering camp, and it was about the offensive line and the receivers. It sounds like there's been an answer to the latter, right, across the board, depending upon or not depending upon whether you talk to people that are at practice and at the scrimmages, people that are on the beat and actually working the beat day to day, or if you're just looking for clues around the program. When we talked to Jimbo Fisher, you were there over there today, or media day, or the open practice that we all saw with our own eyes. Looks like the receiving core is going to be okay if health is on its side. I think we're okay there. I think we can shelf that for the moment. We're looking for greater consistency out of a Nooney Murray, but from a talent standpoint and, the upper level of what they can provide and produce, we're going to be A-okay there as long as they're healthy. The offensive line remains the question. And to me, again, I look at that first month of the season and I say, even if they are disappointing in game one, by the end of the month, could we still be happy with this team? I think the answer to that is yes. I just wonder when we get through game one, how do we feel about what Coach Fisher is saying today? Do we think that it was all coach speak? Do we think there was truth to it? Do we think that we're a lost cause? I mean, because the problem is, again, this is the season where we're hunting for clues, but we don't really know what's real and what's not because we can't see practice every day. We don't know how they're performing day in and day out, and we know that the offense.
I can tell you the defense is dominating. The defense is dominating right now, and that is the way of the world in these camps if you have a good defense. Offensive lines cannot block good defensive lines to start the year. One of the many reasons for that is that as you're figuring out your five and you're rotating guys and there's no consistency, that, first of all, as it applies to this school right now, that defensive line has oodles of experience, so they're not worried about, kind of working guys in. They've already got guys that have played in a lot of games and are really good. And number two, a second-string defensive tackle is in a rotation that's going to play and dominate and be a big part of what a defense does. A second-string offensive lineman, not so much. So the advantage is always distinctly on the side of the defensive line, and they are kicking ass right now. But it could really help this offensive line because they're not likely going to face a defensive line, and that includes Alabama's, that's as good as this defensive line. So it's got to be incredibly difficult for Jimbo Fisher in this offense on a daily basis because you almost have to tell the defense, hey, slow your roll, let us run a play.
Yeah, I think the hard part, and you saw that in Hard Knocks last night, Gerald McCoy's dominating some of the offensive sets, some of the offensive linemen for Tampa Bay, and Jameis Winston has to walk the line in practice of saying, hey, guys, let's get it together. And, boy, I'm glad Gerald McCoy is on our team.
Yeah.
It's like, the balance.
Yeah, what do we do?
I think the hard part for Jimbo in general, if you're just looking at motivating and keeping this team's eye on the prize as you're talking about. Remember in 2014, it was about how do you motivate a champion? How do you motivate a team that was that dominant and now has...
He swung and missed. He sided champions of yesteryear with Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson and others, and it didn't work.
But the problem is I don't know that it could have worked because there were a lot of players that were thinking about the check they were about to cash in less than 12 months when the season started.
Let me interject there just to say this because I think it's an interesting talking point, and it's applicable now too. Maybe Charles Kelly sucked.
It could be.
As we get further away, we have enough evidence to suggest it could be that Charles Kelly's not good. It could be that they were also thinking about their paycheck. But, Tom, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt on that year like he did when it happened.
I agree, but it's not like they were world beaters in the first half of the Auburn game either.
Well, that was the Auburn game. It was one game in the national championship where they, obviously.
But I would say that calendar year of 2014 all kind of looked the same. Where it's like we were getting our face kicked in, and then we make adjustments, and then we rise up and play dominant football.
Well, I'll say this: the Auburn game, they come out like gangbusters, and obviously we're confused and so forth. But they were playing for a championship. Focus and all that wasn't in question. And I don't know. That's just give credit to Auburn. Great game plan coming in. But that entire next year, we repeatedly chalked up their problems to guys checked out. All I'm saying is, while that may very well have been a factor, unfortunately for Charles Kelly, the further removed we get from that and the more examples of this defense not playing well, the pressure is ratcheted up on him because he had players that year and they didn't play well, they didn't play hard, whatever. But he had players last year and they didn't play well and they didn't always play hard and they were confused. We have too many examples. That's why he's under a lot of pressure right now.
Sure, you can say he's not a motivator. You could make that claim. But I would go back to, post-game of Game 1 there where Ramsey, and I know Jalen Ramsey is polarizing in and of himself, but, he says not everybody was playing and practicing and preparing as hard as they should.
But again, at some point,
it does fall on the person who's in charge of doing the motivating.
Right.
I hear you there. But for this year, I think the task for Jimbo is to walk a fine line, because I'm going to sound defeatist in even trying to walk this line of describing his dilemma. How do you impart to your team that the Alabama game isn't the end of the world, right? On the one hand.
I would never bring – oh, well, right, I get where you're going, but I'm certainly not going to ever say those words.
Of course not.
Yeah.
No. But this is, again, see what I'm saying? Even in describing
I'm like,
it.
Whoa.
Right.
You're admitting defeat before we play the game?
Well, that's why I said I'm going to sound like a defeatist.
Right.
How do you do that while also ratcheting them up and giving, and getting them ready for the chance to play a game that could put them on the map and give them an ultimate tiebreaker trump card should they need it with the playoff committee? You get this win, and Alabama does what it's supposed to do all season long, then you have an argument trump card for the entire season should you need some sort of lenience from the committee to get you into that top 4 slot. Look, Ohio State made the playoff last year without winning its conference. They didn't even play in their conference title game.
Right.
So it is possible. If you don't play for your conference title, if you have a landmark win, like, I don't know, the one we could get in week 1 against Alabama.
Well, like Ohio State had against Oklahoma.
But how do you do – exactly. So how do you do that? How do you do those two things at the same time? Because if you drop the game, well, you know what? We got 2 other games in the month of September that mean a whole hell of a lot.
Thank goodness you got a respite the following week. And here's the deal. I think it works that way both ways, Tom, because I think you could lose the Alabama game or win the Alabama game. But let's just put it this way. To me, it's about getting out of that Alabama game without getting embarrassed. And I'm not, again, that sounds defeatist.
Right.
But what I'm saying is if you go to lose to Alabama, first of all, Alabama wins all these first games of the season out of conference in these neutral sites. They win every one of them. And oftentimes kick the hell out of people like they did last year against Southern Cal. That can't happen. You can't get beat 50-6. Don't do that. But if Florida State goes out and loses with offensive line questions, 34-21, plays pretty well. I think at the end of the year, when you're talking about that trump card between them and somebody else, that's a feather in the cap. People say, well, they scheduled Alabama, and then they won. Last year, this was the best conference in college football. Certainly the Atlantic was the best division. If they go on and win that division and then win the conference championship and their loss is to Alabama, maybe you could still say, well, I mean, I give them credit for scheduling the best team in the country. They lost that game, but my goodness, there's no shame in that. And it's between them and another squad that didn't play Alabama.
Right, I hear you. What I'm saying is you could beat Alabama and then lose one of the 2 other games in the month. And
better lose to Miami. Dare I say it? Shudder to think.
Oh, don't.
No, you have to lose to Miami if you're going to lose one of the other 2. You can't lose to NC State.
NC State's going to be 7-1 in the ACC, and we're going to have a tiebreaker.
I don't want to deal with the scenario. I mean, first of all, one of NC State's losses, when you look at if you do W's and L's for NC State, is you're chalking up to Florida State. If they win that game, yes, they might lose just one game on that side of the ledger, and then you're screwed.
Well, I would think they're not going to go 3-0 against Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville, but true.
But they don't have to. They can go 2-1.
They can go 2-1.
And so they could very well go 2-1.
If they get the big one, yeah.
If they beat Florida State in Tallahassee and go 2-1, yeah.
I hear you. And again, the way I'm painting the picture is we're talking about the ACC as the primary objective because the conference reputation is good enough now. It's not Teflon.
Fly that flag high, sir. Fly it high.
But if you get that win and you motivate them right and you go and get that win against Alabama, then you do have some equity built up in case you need it. So in the playoff committee's eyes, it's not going to get you a tiebreaker in the ACC to go to the title game, but it would build a ton of equity in the playoff committee's eyes because they're the ones you have to impress at the end of the day, too.
I'm not trying to lose ACC games here, damn it. Especially not at home. That's the other thing we're talking about. That's the other thing. Not at home.
That's the benefit, that at least those 2 back-to-back games are right here.
Right here. And here's the thing. We can talk all we want. We got to go to break, but we can talk all we want about how good Miami's defense is going to be. And that's fair. I think they are going to be really good. And we could talk about NC State's defense and how good they're going to be. And I think they very well may be very good. I think Doran's a terrible coach, so I don't worry about NC State all that much. I think he kind of sucks. But that said, you really envision a first-time starting quarterback from Miami coming here and moving the ball against this defense? Do you really think NC State's about to light up the scoreboard in Tallahassee? So even if we're struggling against those defenses, I mean, they got to score against us.
Right.
So, I think you're equipped to win those games no matter what happens with Alabama. It will be hard. It will be tough sledding, moving the football. But at the end of the day, if you win a couple ugly 23-13 type games and roll on Big River, you're all set because then you get a breather. Then you get the big breather and you kind of relax until Louisville.
Yeah, the fear would be in that scenario that the offensive line is such that you only get a few cracks at scoring points, and then you're a turnover or 2 away of being in trouble of not even getting to 20. If you're just trying to paint doomsdays, and I get it, this is the part of the year, again, like I said earlier, where it's like you're painting all these hypotheticals, and you could go into paralysis here. But if you're looking for a doomsday scenario, that's the one where you can't move the ball, you're not responsible taking care of the football, and then all of a sudden, a Miami team without a quarterback who's proven is in a game because it's 13-13 in the third quarter. Well, then the next touchdown matters a whole hell of a lot, and who's going to score it? Well, but we'll see. The offense could be just fine, and if it hums to 24 to 30 points a game, then you could be 4-0 heading into October.
The other note to make on that offense in the season at hand and the big games early in the year, I really believe Florida State's offensive line doesn't have to be great. I keep coming back to this offensive line question. The more I listen to Jimbo and the more you talk to players about what they've seen in camp, the more you begin to realize if that offensive line is just not a sieve, just be decent. Just be decent. Don't be a turnstile. They've got playmakers, they've got experience, and they got a good defense. Just be decent up front. Decent won't let you beat Alabama, but again, whatever. Decent offensive line, you can win the ACC. You can play for a national championship. You can get to the playoff. And by the end of the year, I think the offensive line will be good. It'll be better than decent. But in the beginning of the year, it just needs to be decent.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Oh no! My lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan Service Department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates, because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
This year's Kingfish Tournament is in the books. Although the weather wasn't the best, over 55 boaters registered for the tournament, and Sea Quarters Marina would like to thank everyone that came out. $50,000 was raised for leukemia research this year, which brings the total to $915,000 over 14 years. The winning kingfish, caught by Team Bill Collector, weighed 47 pounds, and the winning Spanish mackerel, caught by Team Neil Brooks Electric, weighed 5 pounds. Additionally, fishermen donated approximately 1,000 pounds, which will be sold to raise funds for leukemia research. Sea Quarters Marina hopes to see you at the 2018 Kingfish Tournament.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you're having a great Balls McWednesday. What constitutes a great Balls McWednesday? Ball sports? What's your favorite ball sport besides football? Baseball?
Favorite ball sport?
I don't think of baseball as a ball sport. It is. It is just it's ball, but
I know the diehards would kill me for this, but I loved playing roller hockey with the ball puck, because you're trying to play with the flat puck on the street. It's just the surface.
Tough to do.
Yeah. Oh man, it bounces all over the place. So you got to play with the ball puck. I don't know, but in terms of pros, it's probably baseball. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, whenever I think of ball sports, I think of kids games. I think of kickball.
Oh, yeah.
I think of dodgeball. That's a big-time ball sport.
Oh, sure is.
I love dodgeball. I was the kid who did try to clip your feet. Once you got in the air, I'm going ankles. I'm trying to get you to flip.
Can't play dodgeball without balls, you know what I'm saying?
No, got to have balls. So dodgeball, lawn bowling was underrated.
Bocce ball, man.
Bocce ball, solid as a rock.
That's an adult game, but still.
Good stuff. You ever play some croquet out in the front yard?
No.
A little croquet?
No.
I croqueted up down in St. Pete, buddy. We would be croqueting it all over the place, and I would slap people's balls across the street.
Oh, there it is.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyhow, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Yeah, Florida State's offensive line merely needs to be decent. That's what. Remember, I used to chant. I've had a lot of chants over the years on the Jeff Cameron Show about what needed to happen. But back in the day, I used to say about Jeff Bowden, and at times later on, unfortunately, it applied to the defense. But aspire to be average. Aspire to be average. Because when we were bad at something, we were really bad at it. And I'd aspire to be average, kids. Let's get to that point where then we'll worry about that. You got to crawl before you can walk. Let's get to the crawling. Right now, we're on our backs like a turtle with no chance. Let's go. I'm not saying this group is, but that's the way we were so often. And then there was 3-7. Of course, we would chant 3-7. Later on, I would 1, 2, 3. Leon Washington was a chant because for some reason we were hell-bent on giving the ball to the wrong back and not Leon Washington. But for this group, I just need him to be decent. I could start a shirt. Just be decent. That could mean a lot of things these days. But, yeah, just be decent.
Just a big OL on the back of the shirt. Just be decent, OL.
Just be decent.
No.
I think if they're decent, I really do think if they're decent that the team will be good.
How about no negative plays? You know, we could deal with a no gain or an incompletion.
Yeah, but no negative?
No negative plays.
Decent equals good? Oh, there's a shirt. Only the insiders would know exactly what was going on, right? Decent equals good. Yeah, decent equals good. Hey, so you should also know this. I talked with Alec Eberle today. And I'm just going to say on a personal level that, and this would be true in general, people get it mixed up sometimes because in this role, you have to be critical when somebody fails, when somebody doesn't play well. If somebody's not playing to the best of their ability or not helping the team, you have to note that.
Yeah, I know you're timid about that too.
Well, I'll give you an example. It was funny. I got a guy who I guess was listening to the show and was unhappy with the way that I spoke about Roberto Aguayo, and he feels like maybe I've been unfair, I guess. I don't think so. I was against the pick. I first guessed it. I thought it was a bad pick. And then, he struggled there, and that's unfortunate. But he wrote, one of the classiest and kindest dudes you will ever meet, gave it all to FSU, but you constantly blast him. 24-year-old kid, Kevin Collins. Well, 24, first of all, he's a grown man.
Well, what is the definition of a grown man anymore?
I know. I was going to say we're going to wait till they're in their 30s. So, secondly, blast him. I don't think that's the definition I'm having a problem with. I don't think I blasted him. So I wrote back, blast him when? He said, own it. Kid worked his butt off and had his rookie struggles. He's earned FSU's fan and media support, not criticism. Wait a minute. My job is to criticize and or praise and or everything in between when we talk about players and make observations. I'm paid to have an opinion. And I can't ignore the truth because he's a Nole and I like him. There are a lot of Noles I like that have gone on to suck. And when they do, I say, unfortunately, he sucked. Or there have been guys I don't like that are great. And I really am saddened by the fact that they went to Florida State and that they're going on to do great things because I know them to be bad people. But if they're doing great, I say, he's kicking ass. There's just no way around that. You have to do that. That's the job. That's the reality. And I don't think it's mean-spirited. And in Roberto Aguayo's case, there's just no getting around the fact that he stunk. He stunk. Hence the reason he got cut. There's no room to waffle here. Alec Eberle wasn't good last year. Now, there are mitigating circumstances. There are things that have come to light, man. New information that we've learned about why it was Alec Eberle may have stunk last year. Why he was, stunk might be harsh. All right, I'll stop there. He wasn't very good. He didn't always stink, but he wasn't very good. He was wildly inconsistent. He wasn't up to the standard Florida State needs to be at that position if they're going to play for and win championships. Not even close. I think he would admit that. The offensive line, Landon Dickerson and those guys, we talked to them more than once. They've all said, we got to be better.
Yeah, that's why he wrangled the whole team, and this is something that's been reported for a couple weeks now, and said, guys, we got that kid, our quarterback, killed last year. Mm-hmm. We probably need to do a little bit better than that.
And he's got to help them out and get the ball out of his hand. But that said, talking to Alec Eberle today, first of all, his passion is evident, and he really cares. And fans oftentimes want to know, do you care like I care? It's a weird dynamic, but they do. They want that of their coaches. They want that of their players. He does. He cares deeply. He looks at it as an absolute affront to what they are as a unit, what happened last year. As an individual, to not be able to come out and say anything about the fact that you have torn labrums in your hips and you have an inch of bone shaved off either side on the ball of your hip, you couldn't bend and you were in agony. You couldn't get leverage, which is everything to an offensive lineman. Why do I bring this up? For two reasons. A, I'm rooting for him because that had to be tough to have to hear the criticism, to know that you're not playing to the standard you hold yourself to, let alone anybody else, and to know you're hurt and have to go out there and at times not be able to make the plays you think you should be able to make. That's got to be agonizing. That's for anybody in any field. No matter what you do, if you know you're capable of something, but there's something prohibiting you from being able to do that, and you're not into excuse making, so you just have to wear it when it doesn't happen the way that it should. That's got to be tough. I hate that for him, but that's the reality of that situation.
Got to be tough as a coaching staff, too, that you don't have more depth that can handle for somebody who's in agony.
Yeah.
And he has to roll out there every single week.
Well, in actuality, that I sat there listening to him today across from him thinking, what the hell were we doing that this guy is on crutches every week and then out there trying to play a football game and we have nobody behind him to play the position? That's unsettling. So having said that, he's healthy. He feels great. He put on a ton of muscle. He looks good in person. You can tell he's transformed his body. And he says this is the best he's felt in ages, and he's excited about where the offensive line is headed. There's leadership in that group between him and Landon Dickerson and others that you talk to. They're kind of the group that obviously we're all going to be scrutinizing and looking at closely because they're what's in question coming into this first game and really the season, especially in that first month. But Derek Kelly, too, at the left tackle. Similar story. A kid who we had high hopes for, played quite a bit his redshirt freshman year. He had the trouble with the knee, has really never been the same player. They were disappointed with him a year ago when he got opportunities to play. You thought, it's not going to work out for him. But at one time, high hopes. He's now healthy, playing better by all accounts in camp, playing well. To what degree, we can't know, right? That's what we can't know. That's the great mystery. How much better will Alec Eberle be now that he can bend, he can move, he's not in pain? Because he's gotten stronger in the offseason, all that stuff. How much better is Derek Kelly than the last version of him that we saw? You don't know. But what it does do is it really, as an individual, it makes you root for them. Because guys coming off of injuries that have been through it, you just root for kids like that. So I really hope the best for them.
Go back to one open-ended question we had about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, which is, what's this offensive line's identity? What's it better at? Is it better in pass pro? Is it better at mauling and running right at you? Because, every team has a bit of a different identity in that regard, too. And what I can say about this group, because I know Dickerson already has it in him.
He's nasty, yeah.
There might be a part of his name that describes the way he plays. I don't know which part, if you could extrapolate it.
Landon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. On your back. Pancake Landon. But there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for everything, and I'll qualify that first. But if we rack up a 15-yard penalty or two in the first 3 games because our offensive linemen are taking care of our skill position players or taking care of our quarterback,
who's getting drilled, sure,
and they're enforcing matters, you know what? Okay. I want to see some nastiness out of this offensive line. That's one thing.
That Timmy Jernigan kind of nasty, flip you on your face.
Sure, that would work. That was Feliciano, who was at Miami for about 70 years, and I think that was his last one. He said, I got
the hell out.
Nothing for this guy.
Get off me, bitch.
But, Rod Johnson, you almost got me there. Jimbo would describe him every year and say, I wish he would be a little bit more nasty, a little bit more outspoken, because he doesn't know his own strength at times. And
now we miss him.
Now we miss him dearly. But maybe because he was the senior member of that defensive line, if he was only a junior, maybe we can change the identity of that line a little bit. Maybe we can get a little nasty around here. Maybe that group can take it upon themselves to play with a chip on their shoulder. You don't have to win every battle, but if at least you have an identity of anger about you.
A little edginess, yeah. I actually think that's they have no choice but to be that way. You got a lot of guys out to prove something, a lot of guys who are very aware that they're the position, the unit that is most scrutinized, that are very aware that people have been critical of their play as individuals and as a group. So, sure, they're duly motivated. But again, that doesn't mean they're going to turn around and play great. I can't know that. I can't know how much better Alec Eberle is now that he's healthy. I can't know how much because we can't see practice. We don't know on a daily basis. You just have to trust that the reason Derek Kelly's at left tackle right now is he's forcing the issue. He's playing very well. He's made them put him in the starting 5. Alec Eberle seems to have a lock on that center position. We came into camp wondering about him. Nope. don't wonder, he's going to be the center, barring injury, knock on wood. So guys are helping them make decisions, and we'll see if anybody else emerges. At this point, I don't think so. I think at this point, it's going to be Derek Kelly. It's going to be Cole Minshew. It's going to be Landon Dickerson. It's going to be Alec Eberle, and it's going to be Rick Leonard at right tackle. So I think that's what we're looking at for the starting five. And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But I don't think anybody else at this point has shown that they can move into that starting lineup.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And once again, at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, we'll have prizes, giveaways, including a commemorative shirt, courtesy of our friends at Full Press Apparel. Again, that's Friday, August the 25th at 6 o'clock. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, the 6th annual Listener Appreciation Party, also known as Libations Friday Fest. We'll see you there.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing.
All right, man. 7 ballparks in 7 days. Here we go.
I've got my maps.
You don't need them. Huh? I got a nav system. See, you could even pinch to zoom. Look at.
And with available Sync 3 and voice-activated navigation, Ford Fusion has the tech to get you there and back.
Okay, you're holding that map upside down, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I thought Indiana looked strange.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Get 0% financing for 72 months on select Fusion, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Plus, get $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Offer ends August 22nd. Best selling based on current year 2016 sales. Don't drive while distracted. Use voice-operated systems when possible. Don't use handheld devices while driving. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade Assist Cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after new retail delivery. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take delivery from dealer stock by August 22nd, 2017.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Look out in the street there. You know what you don't see? My car, because I had to sell it to pay the lawyer I hired when I got busted for drunk driving. You know what else you don't see? My girlfriend, who decided that a guy with no car and no license and no money was no fun. And hey, you know what else you don't see? You don't see me leaving for work in the morning, because I missed so much time with court and everything that I got fired.
Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The arbitrator who reduced Greg Hardy's suspension for alleged domestic violence from 10 games to 4 will also hear the appeal of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Harold Henderson will hear that appeal on August 29th. Elliott was accused by an ex-girlfriend of domestic assault, but no charges were ever filed. The Saints fire 2 team doctors after a misdiagnosis on cornerback Delvin Breaux, who will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken leg. Doctors Derek Jones and Misty Surrey initially called that injury a bruise. Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN. Kei Nishikori, who's currently 9th in the world tennis rankings, will miss the rest of the season, including the U.S. Open, with a torn tendon in his right wrist.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Kevin writes on the YouTube feed live chat, Alabama offensive line must play well also. For some reason, right underneath it, he writes Yankees. Is he a Yankees fan, or is he calling us Yankees? Which is really quite generic and stupid.
Unless maybe we were calling a ball sport, something, a northern title to a ball sport.
I don't know. I don't know either. Well, and I grew up in Florida, and so did you.
This is true.
So, anyhow, I have no idea. As far as Alabama's offensive line needing to play well, also, that is correct. They would need to. I think we tend to give Alabama's offensive line, Kevin, the benefit of the doubt. They seem to have a little bit more leeway. We grant them more latitude and make certain assumptions about how they're going to play based on the fact that they always play great every single season. That Nick Saban's there, save for the first. Routinely have running backs go nuts and find themselves in contention to win a Heisman Trophy. And they have a slew of talented backs. Florida State does too, but Florida State isn't given the same latitude. They don't have the benefit of the doubt because of inconsistent offensive line play. So the assumption that Alabama's offensive line will come out and play well is indeed an assumption, and they must do so against a very, very good defensive line at Florida State. But I think, again, that Alabama gets the benefit of the doubt where Florida State doesn't.
Even if they aren't world beaters, they're typically good enough to get their program to a national title or to a playoff game. You know what I mean? That's the other thing, too. What you're talking about.
Every year.
Get us to a level where we can have a fighting chance. And it's just kind of like I would think the way the nation looks at quarterback play in Tallahassee. DeAndre Francois last year as a redshirt freshman, but people would, from afar, even though we were questioning what exactly he was going to be, I think people from afar would rightly say, well, he's got one of his guys in there, and even if he might not be that talented, Jimbo always gets something out of his quarterbacks.
Yeah, he does.
He got Christian Ponder drafted in the first round. He got E.J. Manuel drafted in the first round. Yeah. So he's always going to get something out of his quarterbacks. And
by the way, all of his quarterbacks, no matter what we think of their performance in a given year, game, or whatever, they're all tough. They've all played hurt. They all get through it. They're all really tough guys.
And one thing I saw today on Twitter attributed to Jacob Coker, it was talking about the differences between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. And this is probably not anything shocking to anybody who knows the history of the two and the two coaches' styles. But he said, being a quarterback in Tallahassee is just like being a defensive back in Alabama and Tuscaloosa.
Scrutiny, yeah.
The head coaches will ride those particular positions into the ground because they know those positions inside and out, and they expect so much. And what Coker said was, walking out of Alabama, he realized that the smartest defensive coach he's ever known is Nick Saban, and the smartest offensive coach he's ever known is back in Tallahassee and Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban are very much alike. That's no secret. Everybody knows that. Those two have a shared past in more ways than one. The West Virginia background, etc. And they have an awful lot of respect for each other. I think it's I just think that's what makes this matchup so fascinating again. It would be a lot of fun to be able to sit down with Saban the way that I did with Jimbo today. I actually asked, you and I have kicked this around before. We wanted an opportunity to ask him this question in years past, frankly, but it's especially applicable now, which is that what about your time with Nick Saban specifically stands out now in retrospect that you've had time to reflect on it and you've become your own man? I mean, he's going into his 10th year in Tallahassee, not as a head coach, but as a coach in Tallahassee, 8th year as a head coach. He's had time to kind of live and learn, if you will, and look back on what Saban did and didn't do and what he still utilizes and what he doesn't. I know this, one kind of offhanded comment that Jimbo made to me today about Saban was that, and this revealed to me that they're very like-minded in some ways. They sat down and they used to talk a lot by themselves, just the two of them. That Nick was big on that because Nick wanted somebody from the other side of the ball, in this case Jimbo. He wanted to be able to sit down and just pick his brain, and the two of them would kind of go back and forth. That's born out of immense respect, right? That's a sort of, all right, let me tell Nick what gives me problems as an offensive coordinator when a defense can do whatever, and he wants to know what would give a defense problems from his point of view and why, and then they would go back and share notes and all this stuff. Well, that's what you do as a coaching staff in general. I just thought, how cool would it have been to be there at the nights that the facility is empty and it's just Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban in Saban's football office talking football till 2 o'clock in the morning and on a Tuesday, and they're going to see each other maybe less than 4 hours later at the same facility to start their day and immerse themselves in that football world, and then probably have a conversation like that again less than a week later. You know what I mean? I mean, that kind of kicking around ideas, learning about each other and what makes people tick and all of that would be a fascinating dual interview to get.
And by all accounts, something similar happened before Jeremy Pruitt was hired here as the defensive coordinator. Jimbo put him on the board and said, all right, I'm going to do this. What you going to do?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do this. What you got for me? Yeah. And then he answered those questions. And that's why I can remember Jimbo, I believe it was before the Orange Bowl when we played Northern Illinois because we knew that Stoops was moving on.
It was after the Orange Bowl.
Was it after?
It was after when he was tired and he was willing to talk and he was being are you going to talk about how he said you have no idea what it's like to be a head coach until you're in this seat?
I'm talking about when he was asked specifically, do you have somebody in mind? And he said,
yeah.
He just goes, oh, yeah. I got somebody.
That was a different conversation.
That was because he had already done the interview, and he had gotten the answers that he liked. It's the same thing from the opposite side of the ball. But when you've talked about this over the years, when the quarterback asks the correct questions.
Oh, man, does he get excited?
Well, when the defensive mind asks him good counter questions and gives him the real answers. All of a sudden he thinks,
he's ready to dance.
I can talk to you. Now we have synergy. Philosophically speaking.
Well, a lot of pressure on a couple of people this year, I think, in particular, and one of them is without question Rick Trickett. And then the other one is Charles Kelly, and I think I would probably start with Charles Kelly. I mean, Rick Trickett's seen his groups kind of go up and down to the degree that fans believe it to be. That's a point of argument. But defensively, there is no argument. I mean, they were bad last year until they weren't, but, the damage was done. And it's not the first time that we've seen that defense with really high-caliber players struggle under Charles Kelly. Likeable as he may be, he's got to produce this year. They've got to look like in today's football, you give up points. You just do. The best defenses give up points. It happens. You can live with that. It's how you give them up, why you give them up. Do those guys look lost? Do those guys look confused? Are they out of place time and time again? Are they arguing on the field as the ball is snapped? You got guys out of position? That's untenable, man. Can't have that. You give up points because somebody's running a lot of RPOs and they have an all-world quarterback like Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson? It happens. See Johnny Manziel to Alabama's defense. It happens. But it can't be what it was at the start of last year.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates, because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, T-I-X-X. Enter the coupon code ESPNTally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
JCPenney's Power Penny Days are back, just in time to stock up on all your back-to-school essentials. Get in today for amazing deals, like select $3 Home Expressions towels, $5 tees for the family, and denim for guys and juniors just $15. Also available in Husky and Girls Plus. Plus, stack on the savings and get your coupon on the JCPenney app to save an extra 15%. Hurry, JCPenney's Power Penny Days end Sunday. That's getting your pennies worth. JCPenney. Coupon valid 8/17 to 8/20 on select items in-store and at jcp.com. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Look out in the street there. You know what you don't see? My car, because I had to sell it to pay the lawyer I hired when I got busted for drunk driving. You know what else you don't see? My girlfriend, who decided that a guy with no car and no license and no money was no fun. And hey, you know what else you don't see? You don't see me leaving for work in the morning, because I missed so much time with court and everything that I got fired.
Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The arbitrator who reduced Greg Hardy's suspension for alleged domestic violence from 10 games to 4 will also hear the appeal of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Harold Henderson will hear that appeal on August 29th. Elliott was accused by an ex-girlfriend of domestic assault but no charges were ever filed. The Saints fire 2 team doctors after a misdiagnosis on cornerback Delvin Breaux, who will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken leg. Doctors Derek Jones and Misty Surrey initially called that injury a bruise. Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN. Kei Nishikori, who's currently 9th in the world tennis rankings, will miss the rest of the season, including the U.S. Open, with a torn tendon in his right wrist.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hello. All right. How many days? How many days, right? College football starts. Enter. Don't you like that about Google?
Surprised it didn't
really,
finish your thought for you.
Yeah, well, it did.
College football cheerleader photos.
I don't know why that pops up, hun. I was looking for schedules. I've never typed anything like that in before. That's really crazy. Yeah, man, August 26th. That's 10 days from now. Hey, man, 10 days.
Little 10-day action?
Little 10-day for that ass.
All right, now is this stealing your terminology, but 9 and a wake-up? Is that better?
10 days is fine.
Okay.
It doesn't even upset me. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got you. 10 days it is.
Little $10 a month.
Woo! How excited do you get, man? That's just crazy. Saturday, August the 26th. That would be Colorado State. Again, one of the tests as to how much you're starving for college football is when you see matchups that otherwise are mundane, and you go, well, there's serious intrigue in that one. You know, I just don't know. That's a toughie. Oregon State, Colorado State right now, when you say that aloud, that sounds like an epic matchup. It just does. Oh, what a great battle between 2 evenly matched programs, Tom. How lucky are we that Oregon State and Colorado State will bless our televisions in a mere 10 days?
Yeah, but there's symmetry to it, isn't there? Because, you know, when you get to bowl season, you're always a fan of championing more bowls, not less bowls.
More bowls, not less bowls.
So if that same matchup ended up being a bowl matchup, you'd be just as excited that on December the 13th, a random Tuesday night, you get Oregon State and Colorado State.
Same form of desperation. One is it's about to happen. One is it's about to go away. You know, it's the same thing. You're like, you're holding on. Woo! Look at that. Dangling in the future right there. Little Oregon State, Colorado State. And then when the room's about to go black, ooh, hold on. Little Oregon State, Colorado State tonight. All right.
And guess what? Those kids got some cowboy boots for their troubles.
And a beanie. Yeah, that's what happens.
That also happens to be the day after the 6th annual Libations Friday Fest, sir. So there you go.
One day after the 6th annual Listener Appreciation Party, also known as Libations Friday Fest, this year at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And if you want to attend, and I hope that you do, maybe we'll share a beverage together and have a delightful conversation. But you'll leave, if you're there early enough, with a shirt commemorating the fine evening that will be, and we'll have some prizes towards the end too. Normally, Tom is too inebriated at that point of the evening to be able to give away those prizes, so I'll take over the mic and hand out the the shirts and so forth.
It's an annual occurrence, sir. Actually, last year, not really. I was on the phone dealing with tech issues for the entirety of Libations Friday Fest. I was really happy that night. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's what you wake up for every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's this, hey, I don't know what's going to happen today, but I know some tech issues are going to be a part of what I do. Fixing people's tech issues is what I do.
I felt so bad. No shy of 15, 20 people in the parking lot as I'm talking on the phone with an angry look on my face like, hey, and I'm just trying to sort some stuff out. And they're like, whoa, I guess I'll go find Jeff Cameron. That's why I'm here anyways.
He
go
is
see
not,
Jeff Cameron.
He is not dealing with tech issues. No, that's not what I do. No. I have properly positioned myself to a place where no tech issues.
I've had some technical difficulties with my giant beer. It appears
it's empty.
It's technically empty.
Won't one of you go get me another one? Portland State, BYU. I can't dress that one up. I can dress up Oregon State, Colorado State. I can tell you that I'm actually sincerely interested. I cannot dress up Portland State, BYU. I'll watch it, but I can't dress it up. I have this theory, and I've given it out over the years, that you never watch a game and are truly idle. You have a team that you will adopt for whatever reason in any game. You can't watch a game and not root for somebody. Maybe not actively. You're not screaming at the television, pounding your fist with each play that passes. But you've got a lean one way or the other. You know, I kind of hope Portland State wins this game. I mean, it's Portland State. Maybe it's the green trim on the sleeve of their uniform. It could be anything, but there's always something. You're never completely indifferent about the outcome of a football game.
What in the world is that font for their last names?
Right.
Are you lowercase letters?
I hope BYU beats the bejesus out of them because of that. That's ridiculous. Maybe that'll teach them a lesson.
The good news is Portland State and BYU can be the game you flip to, while Oregon State and Colorado State is in commercial break.
Meanwhile, awaiting Hawaii and UMass, which is at 6.
Which one's more compelling, Portland State, BYU, or
Hawaii at UMass is a war.
Calipari's not coaching UMass.
And June Jones isn't coaching Hawaii. But I'm watching. I am watching. South Florida, San Jose State, I'm watching.
There you go. All right.
Now you're in?
I'm in.
You know, I'm also a gambler. I like to gamble illegally, large sums of money that make people uncomfortable. And because of that, all games are very interesting to me, Tom.
Didn't you have a wager on that Clemson-Louisville game last year?
I did, and I won that wager, and a certain person owes me a large chunk of change that they've yet to pay me for that bet. They were filled with bravado at the moment we made that bet.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Yeah, that's right. Now, if I were an uncivilized afternoon talk show host, I might have harmed this individual because we are nearly at the start of next season.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
If you owe me $25, whatever. It's suffice to say it's considerably more than $25 that's on the line here, and at some point you have to be a man of honor.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
But kids, don't gamble. You know, don't do that. You know, I've made some poor decisions in my life, many of which have been well documented. But you don't have to go down that road.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Yeah, I've got my numbers ready. I'm ready to roll. My numbers are in order, sir.
So is that 10 p.m. kick between Stanford and Rice the highlight of the day just because of the clean uniform look?
You made me laugh.
I got you giggling over there.
Well, I was just thinking about 10 p.m. kickoffs at Stanford and Rice, and if you are vested, I mean, that's a...
That's the one where you're sitting in front of the screen, bleary eyed, and you're going, all right, third and 6.
Yeah, we need this. Let's
I think they get it. Anybody think they're stopped here?
I'm not that
$5,
bad.
$5.
Yeah, that's fun, but I'm not that bad. I'm not that guy. I've already, I'll look at about maybe 10 to 12 games for a weekend, and then we move from there. Now, but you might be in a pool, just an innocent little pool that even, ordinary housewives are involved in, whatever that might be.
Kind of like a kiddie pool.
Just a little pool. Maybe it's $10. You maybe ante up $10 with your friends at the workplace, and you're like, all right, well, we'll pick these 20 games, and it's for a little chump change. Just a little chump change every week. That's all you got right there. Everybody should be involved in one of those pools. Kids, you should be involved in those pools. That teaches a good lesson.
I mean, I'll wager you an appetizer of mozzarella sticks.
Sure.
You know?
What's
there
that?
It is.
What's that? It's mozzarella sticks. What are we doing here?
It's like
Sure.
$7.
Hey, I was going to get them anyhow. Right? That's.
Now I don't have to get them because you're getting them from me.
You're getting them from me. That's right. And if you'd like to double down, maybe we'll throw in some wings. Ooh. Now it's getting serious. Now we're getting serious. Yeah, but these are the kinds of talking points at the start of the 4 p.m. hour on August the 16th, Balls McWednesday, that whet the appetite a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Just that, oh, yes, it is about to happen. It's real. It's near. It's nearly upon us.
I'm noting you're in good spirits today, not just because we're 10 days away from college football, but I think that trip over to Florida State did good for you today. You seem to be more buoyed about this football team after making that trip.
I am. I was, all seriousness, again, okay, so I was asked to do this. It's with Andy Staples, who works for Sports Illustrated, and he and I are hosting this show together that you can hear tomorrow night on the college sports station there. I think that's 84. I should know. They'll probably get mad at me for not knowing. But anyhow, on Sirius XM. And I was asked to go over there and do this with him, and we aligned it with Florida State, and so we got Jimbo Fisher, and we got Stan Wilcox to start the day. That was a great interview, too. I enjoyed it. It was good to talk to Stan, because Lord knows he doesn't talk much.
No, he doesn't, and I heard the entirety of that.
It's good.
It is good. You know, actually, one of the better parts is the beginning, and, won't spoil the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he talks about how he was working with Duke, and then he comes down here, and he was hoping that in 2013, when he made the move,
that we would play Duke.
We would play them.
And he said, we'll kick your ass, meaning we as in Florida State.
Correct.
That's hilarious, right?
And he said that. He didn't
use the word kick your ass.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He didn't say we'll kick your butts.
Hey, here, let me tell you something. You're right to bring this up, Tom, and this is for the Florida State fan base, alumni and faithful all the way around. I learned a little something about Stan today and talking with him at length. He cares. He's passionate. He is quiet. He does stay back in the cut, if you will, behind the scenes. But he's locked in, and he is focused, and he has a plan. And in talking to him about people calling on Jimbo Fisher every year to take their head coaching job, he talked about that. I thought he was funny. I said, do we reach a point of diminishing returns with these football-only facilities, some of which have water slides and chocolate fountains? And he said, yes, at some point it gets a little silly, and it's not necessary, especially when you are turning kids into the NFL. They may not need a slide. We're putting kids in the league. He had answers.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
It is a real good answer.
When you have tradition at your program.
When you have tradition and you put kids in the league, you don't need slides. I mean, it was a shot. So I was impressed. But that said, they are making headway and raising money towards getting a football standalone facility, football only. They already have one at Notre Dame. They have one at Duke. I didn't realize that. He talked about that.
Good Lord.
I know. Well, doesn't that piss Jimbo Fisher off? But anyhow, that said.
That should piss off the fan base.
Well, yeah, but the reasons they have it at Duke are different. But anyhow, it is interesting. But he talked about that. You'll hear this. By the way, so that's the other important point. These interviews that we did, I was gearing up for and I was excited about, and it was an opportunity to do something I don't always get a chance to do. And I was locked in and focused. Went to bed early last night. Missed freaking. I missed the show.
Oh, Hard Knocks.
I missed it. Was it good?
Yeah.
Well, I'll watch it later tonight.
They had one segment with Miko, and for the first, it's about a 3 or 4 minute hit, which isn't that bad considering it's an hour block. And in the beginning, it looks like they're going to paint her as one of the heroines of the show, that kind of thing. And then she starts spouting off. F-bomb after F-bomb.
Time to move on.
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
So they do. But there's a great moment with Jameis where he is the most passive-aggressive jerk to back up offensive linemen. Dude, it's cold-blooded.
We'll have to watch it. I'm excited to see it.
But I won't tell you what he said.
But I went to bed early last night in anticipation for this show that we're doing because we have to. It's basically a talk show. It's 2 hours. It's called Camp Tour. They're only doing it for, I think, about 10 teams this year instead of the whole lot. It's an expensive thing to do. You got to get a time commitment from the university. You had to produce. Today we had Jimbo Fisher for over 20 minutes, Stan Wilcox for 10, I think it was, or thereabouts. And then I talked to Jocko Patrick. I talked to Alec Eberle. We talked to Josh Sweat. We talked to Derwin James, and the Derwin James interview is priceless. That guy's a superstar, man. He's just a lot of fun, and people already know that. But this interview, you'll have fun. You'll get to hear it. We're going to play it for you. not today. But the show will run tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So in my head, you gear up a lot of questions. I don't get the opportunity mid-camp ever, nobody does, to get these sit-downs with players and coaches for this amount of time one-on-one. In this case, me and Andy and a coach, me and Andy and a player, or Andy and I. But the point would be that we got that opportunity today, and I was very interested in Jimbo Fisher's demeanor, his mood, what he was going to be like. By the way, that guy, it's unbelievable. So we're in the Moore Athletic Center for hours, and you can kind of hear and watch and see how the day progresses with players and the machinery and how it all works, right? Coming in, eating, working out, watching film, meeting coaches, going. Class hasn't started yet, so everything that's going on is football related.
Yeah, what room do they have you in, out of curiosity?
We were in the third floor.
Okay.
Conference room up there.
Okay, so you're watching from on high, the whole thing.
Yeah, you can see everything happen and the comings and goings. And you can hear coaches talking to players and all that good stuff and people gearing up and walk through with, all that. So one of the things that Jimbo's amazing in that he's been there for by the time he gets into that conference room to talk to us, he's probably been there for 6 hours, and it's before lunch. And he was coming from his workout. He does a midday workout, strenuous workout to kind of propel him through the rest of the day.
Right.
And he came in, clearly just got done with that, and I joked with him about it, and he laughed. He said, yeah, no, ready, got to do it. And he's in great shape, and you noted how he looks healthier these last 2 years, year and a half really, than he has in a long time, and good for him. But I was really interested just to see, because he's at a place now, obviously, where we're halfway through camp, and as we're just noting, joking around, we're 10 days away from the start of college football, and not that much further away from playing Alabama. And I didn't want to dwell, solely on the Bama game. I wanted to talk big picture, and he did. He was contemplative. He was thorough. Talked about his relationship with Nick Saban. Talked about the state of college football. Of course, he talked about social media, but he had some really interesting thoughts about social media. A lot of interesting thoughts about what players deal with today and how it helps and hurts them. He thinks certainly hurts them more than helps. He was funny. He had jokes. He's got jokes. When you hear some of this stuff, you're going to laugh. He talked about, kids in yesteryear had to go to bed because the TV went psss at midnight. There was nothing to watch. He said it was all fuzz. It was great. And he talked about, how you have to deal with players and how they're impacted by things outside of the organization, as he called it, and outside the heartbeat of the organization. And that's why they want football-only facilities, because you can help these kids, you can kind of regulate what they see and hear, and you can get them to focus more on what they're there to do. Go to school and play football.
Right. You want to build an academy within a university.
Without question.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to be hypocrites, we're already at that place. Now, we can talk about how that's not what universities are for. Man, that ship has sailed. We already know that. So there's no sense.
He wants the physical academy building. That's what he wants.
And it's not – and if you're a head coach, with what they're tasked with doing and the amount of money at stake and the money that's made for the university, et cetera, he thinks that it's not unreasonable to ask for that, and it's what they need in order to compete at the highest levels. He's not saying, I think it should be this way. He's saying it is this way. So give me what I need if you expect me to compete with Nick Saban and anybody else for that matter, which we do at Florida State. So you can get it where they're coming from and why they want it and why they're adamant and those kinds of things. But it was a good, honest dialogue. And I think, moreover, and I wanted to say this, he's in a good mood. He's in a good place. And usually we joke all the time that he doesn't have a great poker face. If they're playing poorly, he can't hide that. He has trouble hiding that on his face when you ask certain kinds of questions.
He didn't last year in camp. In retrospect,
he was angry.
We should go back and revisit that. In the moment, we thought, well, he's just trying to play a game.
Him up.
No,
he was pissed. He was legitimately pissed.
Yeah.
This is the oddity, right? Coaches, all of them, will protect their players. They will big time protect their players if they're worth their salt. They will do that. In almost every occasion. Sometimes I think they go too far the other way in their efforts to do so, and they cross a line. there are easier ways to deal with some things that are behind the scenes that you don't want to reveal to the press or the public about a player's situation than to have to make up something. It's just easier to say, I can't talk about that. I wish more coaches, just in general, would do that. But they're usually efforting to protect the player, which is a good thing. It's rooted in something good. Well, the point of that is that if I thought if he was in a bad mood because they were in a bad place and there were things happening behind the scenes that had him concerned and all that other stuff, it would have been revealed today. I don't think so. He's very measured. He's not unrealistic. He's in a good place with what they've achieved up to this point, but he's very workmanlike, as you might guess. He's talking about there's still a lot that has to be done between now and that first game, but we're on pace. And you're right. It's right to point out that a year ago, he did not feel that way, and he was being incredibly honest with us, and we didn't know it. We didn't know it. We assumed, oh, that's coach speak because coaches engage in coach speak. And we assumed that he was trying to fire players up because coaches use the media to try to fire players up. But no, he was legitimately concerned, legitimately pissed, legitimately worried. He thought they were soft mentally and physically a year ago, and he said it. And we didn't take it as being literal. We went, well, coach. I think he's now willing, because he's confident he's achieved something, to tell you a little bit more than maybe we give him credit for. I think that's true.
I think, but yeah, the question becomes for us moving forward, does that mean that we're going to translate into an 11-1 or 12-0 season? Or does it just mean that he likes the team? You know, because there is a difference there. He can like the team and like their effort level and their football intelligence, but the schedule is still such that, you know, there is a brutal reality. It's not easy to go 11-1. It's even harder to go 12-0.
Well, they ain't going 12-0.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not going 12-0.
Just because he feels good, and maybe he legitimately does feel good, doesn't necessarily mean that our record is going to be as robust as we think. Because that's the first thing we do as fans. We jump to, he likes this team. You know what other team he liked?
He loved that 2013
team. Right.
That broke NCAA records in one of the most dominant college football teams in the history of the game. And we make the mistake of going, oh, this one's kind of like them. There won't be another one that's kind of like them. Jameis ain't walking through that door, baby. Tim Jernigan and Telvin Smith, they're not walking through that door. Those were special guys who had a lot to prove. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9, ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You are a mighty fortress of supreme knowledge. Progressive Direct has not only revealed their rates, but those of their competitors. If you were any more in the know, you would be drowning in, the know.
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates because knowledge is power. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing.
All right, man. 7 ballparks in 7 days. Here we go.
I've got my maps.
You don't need them. Huh? I got a nav system. See, you can even pinch to zoom. Look at.
And with available Sync 3 and voice-activated navigation, Ford Fusion has the tech to get you there and back.
Okay, you're holding that map upside down, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I thought Indiana looked strange.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Get 0% financing for 72 months on select Fusion, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Plus, get $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Offer ends August 22nd. Best selling based on current year 2016 sales. Don't drive while distracted. Use voice-operated systems when possible. Don't use handheld devices while driving. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade Assist Cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after new retail delivery. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take delivery from dealer stock by August 22nd, 2017.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
Attention Pitmasters, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room are partnering up to host an amateur barbecue cook-off and local craft beer fest Saturday, August the 19th from 2 to 10 p.m. For a $40 entry fee, you can enter any or all 4 barbecue categories. That's Boston butt, chicken, pork ribs, and specialties, with the winner in each category taking home a $100 gift card redeemable at either Corner Pocket or 7th Hill Tap Room. Think you're Tallahassee's Pitmaster Supreme? Enter today. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill 7th Hill Tap Room Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off, August 19th from 2 to 10 p.m.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Happy Balls Wednesday online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, hey, things happen. It's all right. All 3 hours, as I want to tell you every day, are up upon the conclusion of the program. And that's both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always listen to that and go back and catch up and find parts that are suitable to you on your drive home or whenever that is. So I appreciate it. Also, again, people are asking, so the special, the 2 hours thing that we keep alluding to, That's tomorrow night. It's going to run at 7 o'clock on SiriusXM. I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow. And then also the audio we're allowed to use. Just can't use it before it runs, so that's why we're not playing the clips right now. They tend to frown upon that.
Yeah, seeing as, that got you access, the SiriusXM special, they might want to run it first.
Yeah, and I think, knock on wood, it sounds like I'm going to be doing more and more of that stuff, so it will be an opportunity for us to add more stuff to the show, which is always fun and gives us context and more insight, so I look forward to this. I mentioned it. I fell asleep last night, went to bed early, didn't see Hard Knocks. And when you just made mention of the segment of the show where Jameis is passive-aggressive, as you described it, a bunch of people weighed in. Friend of the program, TPE, weighed in as well, saying that it was ruthless. And so I was excited. During the break, Tom pulled it up. And this is the audio in two parts. It starts with the statement at the beginning in which he is imploring certainly these backup offensive linemen to protect young Mr. Griffin, who is fighting to win the backup quarterback job there with Tampa Bay and who has had a good camp and who, by the way, was playing well in that game.
A quick question. Do you want me to play the before and the after, or just the before and then you set the stage for the after?
Well, I can do both right here. The stage is that kid's about to go in. He's competing for a backup job. It's important. Jameis obviously has immense respect for all players. It's one of the things that stands out about Jameis Winston. He would sit on the bus when they were going to baseball games when he was with the FSU baseball team and have a serious conversation, whether you were a destined-to-be MLB pitcher or you were a bullpen catcher. He treated everybody the same because Jameis loves ball players. He loves athletes. He loves people of discipline. He loves people who work hard at their craft. So, knowing that, when he walks over, and this is a quarterback, and says to the backup offensive line, which you'll hear here in a moment, protect your quarterback, keep him clean. And then he references the fact that he's clean. He's talking about, hey, it's important that you keep this guy upright. He wants people to have opportunities to compete and do their best. And the aftermath of them not doing that is what you'll hear in the second part of this clip, which is it's something. We'll comment on it after we listen to it. Here's the clip from last night's Hard Knocks.
Hey, go out there. That's your quarterback, okay? Keep him clean. Look at me. I'm clean as hell. I might don't even have to take a shower. All right? Check your quarterback, okay? Protect him. I'm happy y'all having fun, but Ryan just hurt his shoulder. So keep having fun.
And then walks away. Let that linger.
Yeah, to paint the picture, too, he's wearing the visor, and he's doing whatever support staff role he can do for the backups. And he's walking over with his hands on his shoulder pads, and he kind of just moseys on over.
Oh, and it's really, really kind of non-confrontational.
And the offensive linemen that were backing up are smiling. They're joking around on the bench.
Yucking it up.
And then he delivers the hammer.
Well, and it's not like he doesn't wield some authority around those parts.
I'm happy y'all having fun, but Ryan just hurt his shoulder. So keep having fun.
He's going to be a good dad. Yeah, man. Well, hey, look, it's what you see in most quarterbacks. There's all kinds of personalities at the quarterback position, just as there is at every other position, but it is a natural position of leadership. It has to be. You touch the ball in every offensive play. And most of the great ones have to have a side to them that we don't always see in the public that wouldn't be all that fun to have to deal with, that we would find to best be described in a way I can't to say on the air. I guarantee you, and we've heard the clips over the years, that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Ben Roethlisberger, some of the best quarterbacks in the Aaron Rodgers most certainly, you get a sense that they're not afraid to let players know about their displeasure, to motivate in ways that get under your skin, that call you out, embarrass you, humiliate you. Whatever it might be that they have to do in the moment. And if you don't have that, you sometimes wonder, can they be as great as those other players? And so we've not really seen it from Jameis this is your first glimpse that it exists.
It does. My question is, and I get the concern about, is he always positive, and does that at some point, require this type of response and this type of counterbalance? Well, when it's Deshaun Jackson or when it's a veteran player, I mean, at what point is he willing to talk to a free agent wide receiver that's been in the league for 10 years like that? Is he comfortable doing that right now?
Oh, it's his team completely now. He's been there now 2 full years. He's at the start of the 3rd year of his career as the franchise quarterback. He's put up numbers that, historically speaking, in some categories have never been put up before, and he did it with 1 wide receiver and an average offensive line. I think he's earned it. I think they all defer to him. If you watch Gerald McCoy in the first episode merely brush up against him and jokingly say, but it's joking, but there's an element of truth to what he's talking about when he giggles and says, oh, that's the franchise. I thought they were going to cut me. Like, he knows whose team it is. They all do. No, I think it's there. I think he can do that. I think he's at a place where he'll feel comfortable doing it. Hell, his rookie season, he ruffled feathers by starting to do that in a post-game press conference at the end of the season. So I believe that's in him, and it's there, and he's earned it. It's not just that they're paying him the most amount of money. It's that he's earned it.
One thing I will say, too, the way they close Hard Knocks, so I guess you're going to catch it tonight, but the way they close it is with the end of the Aguayo storyline.
Yeah.
Boy.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, that is really tough.
Yeah, sure.
Because they linger. Sometimes, when guys get cut in that show, they show the moment and then a handshake and then they're out the door. No, they let that thing linger. So you kind of feel the awkward moment in the room as best as you possibly can without being in the room. But before they bring him in to be cut, they show Light and Cutter talking about their confidence level and the kickers in general.
And they're not happy with either.
Well, what they say about Aguayo is uncomfortable.
Well, listen, let me just say this again.
You think what you said is uncomfortable. It's cold.
I don't know. Listener did. But I'll tell you something. And they have no place for feelings in that situation, right? This is not – they don't have time for that. I guarantee you they would have cut him last year if he wasn't a second-round pick. Cutter wanted him gone. It affects play calling. It affects the outcome of games. I'm not talking about the misses. I'm talking about not having faith in your kicker to begin with.
This is precisely what they're talking about. So, yeah, you'll get what you're looking for.
It changes everything. And, when you watch a game, by the way, why do you think – play the clip of Fisher saying he's about tired. Because let me tell you, that again, you're talking about a primary play call. You're talking about the primary play caller, an OC, former quarterback, and head coach in this case. But listen to the frustration in his voice here.
I'm about done with both. I'm going to go for it on every 4th down and go for 2. I'm tired of watching your –
Okay, so he's mad, and that's legit. And he's madder than even he lets on there because I have a sense that, the cameras are running and he knows it. I mean, that's ESPN. That's the whole – it affects how he calls plays. Now, it should affect it more, in my opinion. He doesn't go for it enough, in my opinion. But if he didn't have faith in those guys, that's going to change whether he chose to do that or not. But in the NFL, where you get points, it's a precious, few and far between situation. I mean, unless you're playing one of the dregs of the league, it is hard to win games. The league's built to be 8-8. It's a salary cap league. Turnovers play the biggest role. Not cashing in the red zone is the other part of that. You get opportunities to kick a 45-yard field goal. An NFL kicker should be able to make pretty consistently a 45-yard field goal. The second half of last year, because Roberto was having his troubles, and I wish he hadn't, but he did, they had to call the game differently when they crossed midfield because you couldn't play for the 3. There were no guarantees that pretty makeable field goals would be made.
Yeah, and this is something that Dirk said in a media availability that they showed during Hard Knocks, but it's so true. I mean, anything under 50 you expect to make in the NFL. It doesn't matter what game you're watching.
For the most part, yeah.
I mean, yeah, outside of a windy day in December on Soldier Field, you know what I mean? Like, if it's from 47 yards out, let me just throw that number out there, and anybody is lining it up.
Isn't it funny that you're talking about that, though? Let's ask this question aloud here. I know we got to go to break, but let's do this. Is kind of interesting. When do you feel comfortable? Well, here, let's. This speaks even louder to the point of Aguayo. I didn't feel comfortable with extra points. What are we doing here, as I like to say? I mean, the second I'm coaching or even as a fan watching from afar that I don't feel comfortable with you making an extra point, we are done talking. So I didn't feel comfortable with extra points. But in general, to your question, let's go big picture. When you're watching a game and you don't care about the outcome and you don't care about the team or the kicker or anybody involved, when do you look at a game just because you're watching and you're enjoying some football and you go, 40 whatever yard field goal, he'll make this? And when do you go, I don't know, it's a tough kick. What's the number?
I think situation matters first.
Right, time and score.
And, yeah, exactly what the kick means. But if it's 45 and under, I
always count it.
Independent of the situation.
Yeah, 45 and under, unless it's a snowstorm or a driving rainstorm or something, yeah.
I'm stunned if they miss it at 45 or fewer yards. About 48 to 52.
Let's see.
It's
you got to make that. That's a hard kick.
I'm neither stunned if they make it or they miss it.
48 to 52 keeps you in the league.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to make it.
48 keeps you in the league. If you make a lot of 47, I'll go 47. I'll move it up a yard. If you make a lot of 47 to 52-yard kicks, you're staying in the league because those are hard kicks to make.
Yeah, I'd probably divide that up, actually, if I'm thinking about it a little better. It's 48 to 50 or 48-49. I
think we can do it more. 46 to 48.
Oh, I expect you to make the kick. Come on now. You got to make that kick.
45 to 48, I expect you to make the kick. 48 or more, I don't know. Nope, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Once we get to 51, as strong as these people's legs are
it's
these
amazing,
days,
yeah.
When we get to 51 plus, then I'm thinking, all right, 51.
Weird factors come into play there.
It's the hold actually matters.
Yeah, and like wind,
the wind
and all that matters.
The
right.
temperature
you
matters.
Take other factors into play there.
Sure, if it's okay. Again, I just use Soldier Field, but let's say it's MetLife Stadium in December. And it's from 51. That's different than Miami, Florida, or indoors in Indianapolis.
Okay, now there's a different deal, too. By the way, a 48-yard field goal indoors, perfect weather conditions on artificial turf, you better make that.
That's the same as 43 outdoors
in
the winter.
Then I'm like, he's going to make that.
Yeah.
But you get me 48 outdoors and slightly windy. Oh, no, I don't know.
Sure.
That could be a little
got to drive the ball low. Maybe somebody gets a hand on it.
Iffy. Yeah. I love me some football. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
As an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
JCPenney's Power Penny Days are back, just in time to stock up on all your back-to-school essentials. Get in today for amazing deals, like select $3 Home Expressions towels, $5 tees for the family, and denim for guys and juniors just $15. Also available in Husky and Girls Plus. Plus, stack on the savings and get your coupon on the JCPenney app to save an extra 15%. Hurry, JCPenney's Power Penny Days end Sunday. That's getting your pennies worth. JCPenney. Coupon valid 8/17 to 8/20 on select items in-store and at jcp.com. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Hey, Dad, did you see me make that last play? We're unstoppable this season.
Yeah, you're doing great on the field this year, but how'd you do on your test today?
Well...
Hi, I'm Lance Davis. Let Engaged Academics be your answer to helping your athlete balance their academics and athletics. Visit engagedacademics.org for more information. That's engagedacademics.org.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next, anytime, anywhere, with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna, I-10 exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The arbitrator who reduced Greg Hardy's suspension for alleged domestic violence from 10 games to 4 will also hear the appeal of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Harold Henderson will hear that appeal on August 29th. Elliott was accused by an ex-girlfriend of domestic assault, but no charges were ever filed. The Saints fire 2 team doctors after a misdiagnosis on cornerback Delvin Breaux, who will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken leg. Doctors Derek Jones and Misty Surrey initially called that injury a bruise. Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN. Kei Nishikori, who's currently 9th in the world tennis rankings, will miss the rest of the season, including the U.S. Open, with a torn tendon in his right wrist.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Certain songs, magic of music transports you to a place and time specifically every time you hear it. For me, it's driving down St. Pete Beach near the Don Cesar.
In that Volkswagen Beetle?
Hair flowing in the wind, as I've described before. But yes, in that Volkswagen Beetle, where I had the Wow Punk. I remember when it was a big deal to buy stereos and have them installed. You know, you remove the factory stereo, and you had that guy that could do that for you, and he was efficient, and he didn't screw up your dash. And, you went and got your speakers, and it was a big, big damn to-do. It was, I remember when I went from the factory and got this Pioneer. I remember I was so excited to get this new Pioneer system. And then from there, I wanted to upgrade the Pioneer system. And then later on, I got the anti-theft version where you took the stereo with you That's the whole deal, right? Had the little casing, you snapped it in, but you took it with you because people would steal the hell out of a stereo, man.
Did you have the club for your tire? Did you ever use that?
No,
your steering wheel, I mean?
No, I never used the club. I thought if you're going to steal my Volkswagen Bug, I guess. But I didn't want you to steal my nice-ass stereo.
Here's the trick. Yeah, my sister had that too. She would put it in her glove box, the stereo thing, and lock it so that people couldn't see that you had one.
Couldn't see the stereo, right.
Yeah. So this is
later on. You just knocked the faceplate off. You just hit the little button. You took the faceplate with you.
Exactly. That's what it was. She would take the faceplate.
But I had the one that the precursor to that. You slid that whole baby out. Yeah, you took it on inside.
I mean, you talk about 1995, 1996. This is when she had a Mitsubishi Eclipse. And she had that little thing that you could take the face off the sound system, and then she used the club.
That was a big to-do, walking in with your little stereo face.
That's a 1, 2, 3 punch. It was a 2-door Eclipse.
You weren't stealing the Eclipse.
Jeez.
She thought it was like a Maserati.
Right.
It's an Eclipse.
Right, yeah.
So after my Volkswagen Bug, years later, I had a Saturn when they first came out. And then I had a Nissan Pulsar. That my girlfriend broke the timing chain on after I warned her 3 times. Do not, if it starts to make noise, don't keep trying to shift the gears and move forward. The timing chains this is back when timing chains were a thing, and the timing chains would snap. They don't do that anymore. They were timing belts back then. Now they're chains.
Right.
But anyhow, they would snap and you would break your transmission. You're done. If your transmission is cracked, you're done. You need a new car. And so, that happened.
Little did you know of the relationship you'd be forming with Nissan years and years later.
No, I loved my Pulsar. I thought it was the coolest car in the world, but it was slow. So I got to Tallahassee, and it's slow as hell because you're going up hills, and it was a stick shift. The first four cars I owned I talked about this the other day on Headlines. The first 4 cars I owned were all stick shift. And every now and then I miss a stick shift. Once in a while. They're too labor-intensive. But if you have a high-end car, if you have a really nice car, then you want a stick. That would be really – I don't mean a luxury car. I mean like a performance badass. Then it's pretty cool.
Sure.
But other than that, you just – no.
Man, the tales of crappy cars. I remember in college I had car trouble, but I had to get to the station, the old one, because we were doing a remote at AJ's.
Yeah.
All right. So
I remember your car problems.
A friend of mine picked me up. And she drove me. We're going up towards John Knox, but it was, the big down the hill, up the hill before you get to Monroe.
That's the problem with the stick shifts in this town, with hills.
Right. Well, she didn't have a stick shift. It was just a crappy car. And her car started to overheat while we were stopped at the light on the uphill.
Run it, Susan, we got to go.
It is, the whole thing is smoking. It's smoking. And I'm up to time because of the car trouble.
Yeah.
So I said,
I'm getting out.
There was the oil
Good
place
luck.
right there, right? At the corner. I said, listen, I'm sorry, you're doing me a solid, but I have to leave you now and not help you because I have to get in the van and go to AJ's because we have a Friday remote. So I booked it.
I love your dedication.
Across Monroe and down John Knox, I got into Millar, said, what the hell happened to you? I said, don't mind the sweat, Millar. I need the keys to the van. But it was, 2 crappy car stories right in a row on the same day.
I'm going to beat your crappy car story before we start the next hour, and here it is. I was so poor and just in between. I was in limbo in my life. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I know this. I didn't have money to fix my car, and my hood on the old Saturn was beat to hell because, well, for a lot of reasons, but I can't get into those. But the point is the hood was shaky. And I kept thinking, that thing's just going to pop open one day while I'm driving because it would brrr. And so I'm driving on Capitol Circle over by Appalachian Parkway where they cut.
The flyover.
Yeah. So
by the Parkway.
By the Parkway. No, not Thomasville Road.
Yeah.
By the Parkway, and I'm coming down that hill heading towards the Parkway. Okay, and as I'm going, hood flies up right in my face while I'm driving down the road. I just leaned my head out the window while I was driving. So people are
in the ghetto.
Imagine people are looking at me drive down the road with the hood. I couldn't get over. There was somebody next to me with the hood in my face blocking the front windshield, and I'm just leaning my head out till I can get to the ABC Liquor, which is where I was going.
Oh, really? Stop the press.
And so I have to – that's where I'm going to pull
over.
What
would your pastor have said about that, Jeff?
Don't even. So there it was, and I thought, what am I going to do? Other than I got to get to that ABC Liquor, but it wasn't for the liquor. It was the nearest thing. And so then anyhow, I ended up I pulled in there, and people are staring out the door, looking at me like, look at this poor bastard here, driving with a hood in his face. It was so bad, I ripped it off and left it by the ABC Liquor and drove with no hood back to my slumlord place. Yeah.
Oh, I got to tell you a story.
That was me.
I know we're up, so I'll tell you the story. But a guy gave me the double birds about 3 weeks ago. He was at a dead stop on Lafayette as you're getting out towards the Cap Circle, and then he makes the left on Cap Circle, by that old Texaco right there.
Yeah, I know where it is.
He's going like 20 miles an hour.
And you give him the horn.
I'm trying to get around him, and so he slows down even more. And then
you pissed him off.
Well, I let the horn go, and then he jumps out of the car. He's
bird.
got the wastes on the window.
He's really angry with you.
And he is flipping the double birds.
People are having tough times at that point. That's you better just keep on keeping on at that point.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
$99, new carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all of Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
This year's Kingfish Tournament is in the books. Although the weather wasn't the best, over 55 boaters registered for the tournament, and Sea Quarters Marina would like to thank everyone that came out. $50,000 was raised for leukemia research this year, which brings the total to $915,000 over 14 years. The winning kingfish, caught by Team Bill Collector, weighed 47 pounds, and the winning Spanish mackerel, caught by Team Neil Brooks Electric, weighed 5 pounds. Additionally, fishermen donated approximately 1,000 pounds, which will be sold to raise funds for leukemia research. Sea Quarters Marina hopes to see you at the 2018 Kingfish Tournament.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, T-I-X-X. Enter the coupon code ESPNTally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
JCPenney's Power Penny Days are back, just in time to stock up on all your back-to-school essentials. Get in today for amazing deals, like select $3 Home Expressions towels, $5 tees for the family, and denim for guys and juniors just $15. Also available in Husky and Girls Plus. Plus, stack on the savings and get your coupon on the JCPenney app to save an extra 15%. Hurry, JCPenney's Power Penny Days end Sunday. That's getting your pennies worth. JCPenney. Coupon valid 8/17 to 8/20 on select items in-store and at jcp.com. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool.
Tallahassee's hot summers get you down. Verano Heating and Air Conditioning can help in case of a breakdown, day or night. Their certified technicians can get you up and running in no time. Turn to the experts at Carrier and at Verano Heating and Air. Call 580-4029 or visit VeranoAC.com. Florida license number CAC 057652.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The arbitrator who reduced Greg Hardy's suspension for alleged domestic violence from 10 games to 4 will also hear the appeal of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Harold Henderson will hear that appeal on August 29th. Elliott was accused by an ex-girlfriend of domestic assault, but no charges were ever filed. The Saints fire 2 team doctors after a misdiagnosis on cornerback Delvin Breaux, who will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken leg. Doctors Derek Jones and Misty Surrey initially called that injury a bruise. Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN. Kei Nishikori, who's currently 9th in the world tennis rankings, will miss the rest of the season, including the U.S. Open, with a torn tendon in his right wrist.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. A fine Ballsnick Wednesday indeed. I'm Jeff, that Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. But hey, if you do, remember this. All 3 hours posted every day. On the conclusion of the show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the program, jcs at 979espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at jcameronshow, WTSM app good for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube. You can watch the show being performed if that's your cup of tea. Go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee, and hello, you'll see us. We're right there. 10 days away from the start of college football. Just thought I'd mention that again. 10 days away from the start of college football. Florida A&M starts that day at noon. I meant to mention that before. Noon kickoff, and I'm excited about that game. Hope it's a good year for Florida A&M. It's been a while. I need that program to get turned around. Obviously, Florida State days after that. And the excitement is palpable now. Spent all of today, for those of you hopping in your car, over at Florida State before getting to the studio to perform this job and this show, talking to coaches and players. Most of you don't know necessarily that's what you need, right? You say to yourself, no, that's fine. I just need to know about Matthew Thomas. That's the response that I get when I tell you that I talked to Jimbo for 25 minutes, Derwin James for 15, Jaquez Patrick, Josh Sweat. By the way, you've said this before because I think you did a sit down with him at one point, Tom. And today's the first day that I've ever had the opportunity to really sit and talk over a period of time, say more than 2 minutes, with Josh Sweat. Really, really thoughtful, contemplative young man. And I want that kid. I'm gushing with positivity today just because, again, in talking to some of the guys that have had to overcome injury, Josh Sweat is one of them. He has yet to live up to the billing of a 5-star all-world defensive end, save for in fleeting moments. That's by and large because he's been hurt. And this is the healthiest he's been. Alec Eberle was a guy I mentioned last hour that I'm rooting for because we saw how it affected his play last year. He wasn't where he needed to be or where we need him to be or where Florida State would like him to be. And maybe he has a chance to do that this year and become the player that a lot of people had hoped for. Now that his hips are okay and now that he can bend and he has balance and strength and he's been able to put some time in the weight room, all of that's true. But Josh Sweat is another one of those guys because he came here as a 5-star and was as highly touted as they come, but is a guy that obviously for his ability to heal quickly and get on the field didn't have as big an impact rushing the passer as we thought he would, especially when Brad Lawing mentioned him from day one that he thought he would be a huge difference maker. Where he's made a difference and has consistently done so is setting the edge. Big, strong kid, plays the run extremely well. He said today he always has. I got the sense in talking to him this afternoon that he is eager to show he can be a dynamic pass rusher, and he hasn't been up to this point. I think, again, that's been because of the knee.
Well, and given where DeMarcus Walker was, especially last year, and whenever Sweat got healthy, that was still a secondary goal of his. The primary goal was to be a good player against the run and hold up and continue to give effort. Some of it is effort, too, and he was the one we circled in the North Carolina game at the most egregious of moments. But there is no doubt, there isn't only one side to the story for this particular issue. Injuries were a big part of September for Josh Sweat. I mean, he didn't even make the flight up to Louisville. Remember that? The 11th hour kind of stuff.
Lady did, yeah.
Well, I mean, with the team. He didn't make the flight up with the team, and then there's the whole, all the rumors swirling around before the noon kick on Saturday. Did he make the trip? Did he not make the trip? Did he fly up by himself? Is he currently, at TOC getting treatment? I mean, what's happening with Josh Sweat? But I can tell you definitely, yes, in talking with him for a good 4 or 5 minutes at Media Day last year, he's just wired different. You can tell football means everything to some people. And football is a part of other people's lives. He's the latter case. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I asked him, what would you do if you didn't play football? He said, I think I want to be a history teacher.
Well, he's the son of a teacher, right?
Exactly. And that's not the answer. Exactly. But that's not the answer you typically get. I want to be a history teacher. I think some people forget about how history actually, went down. And so I'd like to be able to impart to young people, some lessons from the past. Well, out of an 18, 19-year-old
That's a hell of a thing to hear, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because they've never been told no on the football field, and yet he's still thinking about the world in that kind of way.
He's also very shy. He would not allow Jacques Patrick to stay in the room while he's being interviewed. He kicked him out.
Really?
Yeah, he was sitting right next to him. We were doing a series of interviews today, and as I was getting ready to talk to him, he turned to Krista over there in Sports Information and also Jacques Patrick, who was awaiting his turn to do the interview with me and Andy Staples, and said, can you all leave? And they chuckled. They thought he was being shy or whatever, bashful, and they didn't leave. And so Andy starts the countdown for us to do the interview, and he goes, no, I'm serious. Can you leave? I'm going to need you. He told Jacques, you can just sit outside for a few minutes. He doesn't want, the spotlight doesn't necessarily interest him.
One thing, in talking to Brian Burns this year, because it was the first chance to really talk to him on a media day, given that he's not a freshman anymore.
Going to be a star in the National Football League, barring injury, knock on wood that I say that. That's always the caveat. He is going to play in the league. He is a dynamic talent.
Got the sense of two things with Brian Burns. One, he and Josh Sweat get along very well. They're very
boys,
close.
Very close, yes.
And two, Brian Burns said, 5 times if he said it once, I need to be better at stopping the run this year. So I find it interesting that you say on the other side of the equation, Josh Sweat has a goal this year of proving on film to scouts that he can be an elite pass rusher, whereas Brian Burns in year 2 of what is on pace to be a 3-year career here at Florida State, I want to be better against the run. So it seems like they're both players who are very good friends. And clearly now, the alphas in that segment are working to round their games and to round out their film to make them the best possible prospects they can be.
Coach Fisher said he does not expect any more. And this is a heck of a testament to the level of recruiting that they're doing. And this said, of course, Alabama, the creme de la creme of recruiting over the last 7 years especially. Coach Fisher said now when he recruits, he doesn't expect to have players more than 3 years. Told me that today. Said that when you recruit a kid of the caliber of kid that we're seeking to bring in here, and they're the kind of athlete that they are, if they show that they're quick learners, if they show you that they have what it takes to pick it up quickly, you can pretty well count they're going to be here for about 3 years. Now, he said that's unfair in some cases. Some kids come from systems that it's going to take a lot more. I like the way that he couches this. It's considerate, and it's also fair. He said, if I bring in a kid that plays a system that is the antithesis of what we run, and he's never seen it. He's never seen the concepts. He's never been asked to look at certain things that we ask offensive or defensive players to look at as their check, whatever it might be. Then I don't assume that. I let them know, hey, it's okay. It's okay. You've never. And so I imagine that's the conversation, frankly, that he had with J.J. Cosentino, who threw like 4 passes a game in high school. I imagine that, and I'm not being snarky, I think literally he probably said, now listen, this is a far cry from what you did where you could rely on your athleticism and size and strength and all of that. I'm going to need you to sit in the pocket and throw the ball. Listen, up to this point, it really hadn't worked out. It hasn't. You take a chance on guys with physical tools. That's what you do, who you think maybe you can mold in 3 or 4 years. It might work out. For now, it hasn't. It may. You never know. This is a crazy game. I hate to think this way, but the kid that starts at quarterback got hammered last year on almost every play. It's a damn miracle he made it through the season. I won't say unscathed because he was certainly hurt, but, unable to, he's made it through the season without missing a start. But we may need J.J. Cosentino. Everybody stop recoiling from your radio and cringing at the mere thought of it. I don't know, and I'm not suggesting anybody's hurt right now. So we'll see. I don't want to wash my hands of J.J. before it's all said and done is all I'm saying. But Jimbo did talk about the learning curve, and in this group specifically, the younger players, this is why after every one of these practices that he's gone in and given the press conference, somebody's asked him, somebody on the beat that's asking questions on a nightly basis, has asked him about who flashed and who played well. In almost every one of those post-practice wrap-ups, he's mentioned a freshman. In many cases, he's mentioned a true freshman, to the point where you can tell he's genuinely impressed with this crop of freshmen. Now, I always take that to mean, well, great, good, did a good job of recruiting, but not necessarily to mean that any of them are going to have an impact at all in year one. Somebody might, but it takes a pretty special guy. It takes a Derwin James, a Jalen Ramsey type guy that is almost otherworldly coming in from a physical standpoint, a maturity standpoint, a mental standpoint. And those are kind of rare guys. But I think this year could be an exception. You might get 2 or 3 guys from this group, if not more, that contribute a little bit more than we would have ever been able to guess coming into the year.
Just to play the role of pessimist for a moment, does it concern you at all to hear about the freshmen that much in the sense that, okay, well, what about the people that have been here for a few years? Should they not be locking down that job rather than ceding control of reps and actual snaps in game to true freshmen?
I thought that initially. I did. I worried that, what does that say about some of the veterans? But Jimbo was quick to compliment the veterans by telling me that a lot of the younger players are ready to make that step and transition because of the veteran players who have welcomed them, helped acclimate them to college life and to, moreover, the way practices run, the way that they should prepare for practice, the way they should prepare for games. So it suggests to me that we go back to something we talked about in the first hour. He can like a team. It doesn't mean they're going to go 12-0. He can really like a team, and it doesn't mean that they're destined to play for the national title and go to the college football playoff or even win the ACC. The two aren't one and the same. But it could just be that he legitimately likes the team because they're good guys who help each other out, and the veteran players are more willing to reach out to the younger players and not perceive them as a threat to their job, and therefore he's got a more unified group that he absolutely likes.
I think the hard part is that given the way you recruit, if you like a team and they're smart and they're talented and you remark on their athleticism, well, recruiting rankings can be off by a little bit of a margin, but they're not off by that much considering, the offer list. So if you have a team that's smart and athletic and they're as highly touted as they are when they come into school, and, let's even go back to last year for something that we knew was true. This team gets off the bus and you go, holy cow.
Yeah.
And Jimbo even noted that right out the gate in fall camp when he said, I think we'll, be awesome at a combine competition, but I don't know how we are as football players yet. So if you're smart, football-wise, and you have that much athleticism and the head coach likes you, it's hard to see how they are mutually exclusive ideas. That, this squad can be as liked as they are by the head coach, as talented as they are under, the coach's definition, and not, a top 3 or a top 5 team expectation-wise.
The reason it's possible is that they play a brutal schedule. The reason it's possible is that you play 3 of the top 6, 7 defensive lines in the country in your first 4 games. The reason it's possible is that you have an offensive line in question that could be great, could be average to subpar. We don't know because we haven't seen a healthy Alec Eberle. He is now, so maybe he improves by leaps and bounds. Stands to reason he'll be better. and we don't know just how much better we're going to be with Derek Kelly at left tackle if, in fact, he mans that position. He got hurt redshirt freshman year, hasn't been the same since, is apparently having a great camp. So, those questions can't be answered until they get out there. And, one thing to say, too, is maybe they're not answered even in those first 3 or 4 games. They could go 1-2 for a variety of reasons. I don't think they will. But they could. And most people at that point would most certainly wash their hands of this group. But we both think they're going to be real good by the end of the season regardless. And if they're 1-2, the nation will certainly say, well, they were overrated, overranked, and so on, and dismiss them. And I think many in the fan base will too. And yet they could go 10-2 and be in position to win the ACC and be still knocking on the door. I wouldn't want to leave it up to that. And if you're going to go 10-2, one of those losses has to be to Alabama. And then if you're going to lose another game, I don't know. It would probably, and I hate to say it, it would need to be to the University of Miami. You would need to.
You're
lose
just painting scenarios for those who just turned on the radio.
And of course, as the guy who originated the Platinum Bohica, I don't want to lose to Miami. But the point would be they're on the other side of the ledger there, and you could get a rematch in the ACC title game and avenge that loss, which might put you in a position, if things fell into place right, to avenge the loss to Alabama if it happened that way. You can't lose to NC State at home. You can't lose to Louisville at home. You're in trouble in your own. You can lose to Clemson on the road. You're probably in trouble. By the way, I think Clemson's going to be good. I think their defense is going to be very good. The more you hear out of that camp, they don't think they're going to be that far away from where they were. I know this because we've experienced it. You can think that. But when you lose a Deshaun Watson the way that Florida State lost to Jameis Winston, man, it's not that easy. When you have a once every 25 to 50-year guy come through your program at the most important position and you got to replace him, you don't realize what you're on the cusp of until you get out there on game day and that kid under center isn't making magic.
Yeah, agreed. They do have a once-in-a-decade player on the defensive line.
Well, they've got a couple players on the defensive side of the ball that are really good.
Well, he leads the way for a defensive line that's going to be one of the best we faced this year, and we faced just a few good ones. I would ask you the same question I did after the open practice that Sunday of Fan Day. Is there anything that you saw or heard while you were over at Florida State's facility today that makes you feel better about this team's chances against Alabama?
Quiet confidence of the guys I talked to who were not braggadocious but serious, focused, insightful. Jimbo is included in that mix in the way that he talked about the team, measured. They're locked in, man, and they know what's ahead of them, and that's why he's preaching the whole one game at a time thing. But at the same time, he's not willing to shy away. He's not saying, look, I get it. Alabama's a big damn deal, and we want to win it. Our guys want to win it, but we also know that we've got to play Miami and NC State right on the heels of that. So I don't know. There's a maturity. I guess that's a way of saying it. Josh Sweat and to Alec Eberle, and then when talking to Derwin today, I think they learned something. I think the head coach learned something from last year. I really do. I think that they may have been mortified. They may have been knocked on their heels a little bit a year ago, and that's omnipresent in their thoughts. This like, here's what can happen if you're not on the same page. Here's what can happen if you don't dot your I's and cross your T's and get focused every day. Sweat said to me today that, anytime you're thinking about how tired you are at practice or you're thinking about what you don't want to do, a lot of the veterans on this team will bring up 60-plus points to Louisville. They'll bring up what happened against North Carolina. They'll bring up the South Florida game, which they won. They'll bring up the Ole Miss game. Does that translate into an undefeated season? Does that mean they're going to win the national title? No. But it's the kind of thing you heard talked about, dare I say it, during the national championship year with the other veterans that would knock on your door if you weren't putting in the effort. When Telvin Smith saw that you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing at practice, if Jameis or anybody else for that matter thought you weren't doing or keeping your end of the bargain, you heard about it from guys who had a serious face and serious intentions about what they needed to see out of you moving forward. Tim Jernigan was part of that deal too. So I think we're hearing that now.
Yeah, you can't recreate a practice field facility that has uneven football fields and a giant oak tree in one of your 3 fields. So you have to go work at, the IM fields at Florida State for your spring camp or fall camp. You can't recreate the awful facilities behind the scenes inside of Doak Campbell and, the weight rooms and the lack of a player's facility and a lack of infrastructure, and then the losses that came with that. That's what that 2012, or I should say the 2013 group did have.
Yeah.
Is they saw the underbelly of this program.
Where they wanted to be, what was possible.
When it was a joke against the standard that was set in the 90s. So you can't do that. The luxury stuff is already here. You can't take that away. But what you can do, yes, you can point to box scores. You can certainly show film from last year. You got to find a place to go get that chip on your shoulder. And that was the great thing about that 2013 team. And I know it. They're an all-time team. So, I'm sure.
But remember this, Tom, as you're about to bring it up. We talked about – the only question was Jameis that year, right? We didn't know.
Right.
I called it the revenge tour because we did know by the way they spoke of what their intentions were, they were going to take no prisoners. There was a whole lot of ass kicking that they wanted to deliver for all the times that I described those back alley moments where they had one too many and Wake Forest walked by on their way to their car and kicked them in the teeth.
Yeah.
They were pissed.
Yeah, they wanted to end you by halftime.
Yes.
They wanted to see it in your eyes, that you had nothing left to give.
So I don't know that we'll ever see a group as unique as that again because of the circumstances that you can't recreate, as you just mentioned. But what encourages me being over there today and talking with more of those guys and hearing from Coach Fisher is that I see a little bit more of that than I did a year ago, a little more of that anger that we're talking about from these guys and focus that we saw from yesteryear. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that. Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan's service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung.
It's All You Need Is Love by the Beatles.
Just like North Florida and South Georgia love their Mahindra tractors, right, Brent?
Absolutely right. When TNT Supercenter put the 40 horsepower Mahindra 4540 tractor on sale last month for $11,995, our customers couldn't get enough. So we're doing it again this month.
Tell me about your Beat the Heat special.
The Mahindra 2538 cab tractor with a loader has an air-conditioned cab plus tons of extra features like four-wheel drive, free-range, hydrostatic transmission, power steering with a tilt wheel, a 7-year limited warranty. And did I mention air conditioning?
You did, but Brent, how much?
Just $297 a month with zero down with approved credit.
No wonder Mahindra is the best-selling tractor in the world. TNT Supercenter is really on a mission.
TNT Supercenter and Mahindra tractors on a mission to help everybody lift more, push more, and pull more.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hey! Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Got any preseason football tonight, man? No, but we do tomorrow, Jeff. Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. Maybe there'll be a fight.
8 p.m. on ESPN.
Hey. Yeah, Jacksonville and Tampa Bay tomorrow night. They've been practicing together. And apparently there have been some issues. That'll happen. Two teams in the same state fighting for supremacy.
You know, one thing you really enjoy about Hard Knocks, and thinking about it's cracked me up, is they show Mike Smith, the defensive coordinator, in the booth, and they show him after Cincinnati hits 3 or 4 big plays. And he's like a fan at a bar. He's like, damn it! He's calling out the numbers of the linebackers that aren't, staying on the backside of the play or lose contain. But at one point, he just loses his mind and he yells, damn it. And he starts laughing to himself when they call the rushing touchdown for Driscoll. He's like, you're going to call that in the preseason.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
By the way, there are a lot of things about preseason. I heard this talked about the other day. And this is true, and it's another reason that fans get so excited, but especially so about mobile quarterbacks. They're in a lot of man coverage. They're not scheming for quarterbacks in the preseason, and so mobile quarterbacks who take off because they don't know how to read a defense or they're confused by the speed of the game or whatever it might be tend to do really well in preseason games. They do. They tend to have, because they buy time that won't be there in the regular season when it's schemed for if they were starting. They'll pick up huge chunks of yards when the defender's back is turned in man coverage, and it looks like they're moving the chains. Well, they just went 80 yards. 35 of it was with his legs after a play that he could have had the ball in his hand he didn't recognize. So the drive could be a nightmare from a QB film standpoint. But if you're at home and you're not paying attention to that stuff, you go, he just let them down for a touchdown. That's all I'm talking about. But, man, that ain't happening in the regular season.
Yeah, like when Fitzpatrick scored a rushing touchdown for the Bucs.
Exactly.
And the reason I was so impressed, maybe not so impressed. They couch these things. Everything's always got to be bigger, right? But the thing I was impressed about with Deshaun Watson in his first game.
He had good
with
presence
Houston,
in the pocket.
He had good presence, but then there were opportunities where he could have broken for 7 to 12 yards, and he decided to continue to extend the play and look down the football field and see if he could make a throw. Because he knows, what you're talking about. That's not going to translate.
Until he needed to score a touchdown, then he took off and ran.
But I'm talking about the first couple of drives when there's actual real opponents on the football field.
I agree.
And the idea being that'll always be there. You know, if it sounds like a Yogi Berraism, but that'll be there if it's there. I can always do that.
Right.
But let's try and get better at doing this against good competition.
The number one, if you're a Deshaun Watson fan, I like him a lot. If you're a Deshaun Watson fan, then what you're hoping for, and one of the things you needed to see and that you liked when you did, was that there was a pocket awareness, there was a pocket presence, it was there. There wasn't much else you'd be excited about with that opening thing. I mean, I would tell people slow their roll. That was about it. Missed some things as you expect a rookie to, but you know, we'll see. That's a big we'll see. To me, I look at Deshaun maybe differently, certainly than a Clemson fan does, or a fan of the Houston Texans, or just a fan in general of him. Which I don't know if I'd call myself a fan, but I like him. I don't think we're going to know really about him for a few years, couple years. In the way that I need to know, you know. Marcus Mariota came into the league running a system at Oregon that didn't translate to the league. But he had the arm, made a lot of passes from the pocket that impressed me when he was at Oregon, the way that previous Oregon quarterbacks didn't impress me despite their numbers. What I said about that at the time was, you know, I think he's got a shot, if you recall. This was long before we played him or anything like that. I said, I think that kid may be different. He may have a shot to play in the league. Whereas previous quarterbacks in those kinds of systems, I gave no chance to.
Correct. Quote, unquote, no chance in hell.
No chance in hell. But he wasn't one of those guys, right? I said, maybe there's some things I like about what he does. Let's wait and find out. But I thought it would take him, if you ask me what I'm most impressed about with him, and yet I'm still not sure that long-term he's going to work out, what I'm most impressed about with him was his ability to somewhat seamlessly go under center. That's, you know, that the oddity, the way that sounds to fans who think, well, how hard is it to take a snap from under center? Harder than you think, apparently, because people who have been in shotgun systems who look over to the sideline for plays struggle their ass off to take a snap under center early in camps, in NFL camps. That transition is difficult to get their eyes up, read a defense, all those sorts of things. Their footwork suffers, all of that.
It was a talking point for Cam. It was a talking point for RG3. It was a talking point for Jared Goff.
Talking point for Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. I mean, remember Goff with the huddle talk?
Goff sucks, by the way. That's never going to work.
The talk was like, he's got to lead a huddle.
Yeah.
He hasn't led a huddle before.
Yeah. No, he's not very good.
Well, Jesus.
Right. So you worry about that. Like, if that's a thing that you're worried about, you think, well, how long is that transition going to take? That a guy's got to get comfortable just taking a damn snap? But Mariota picked up on that with lightning quick resolve. It was very impressive, and his footwork was good. And so we thought, okay, all right, maybe there's something there. He already had the speed and stuff to run when he needed to extend plays, in lightning speed at that. He still needs to stretch the defense more significantly, more consistently, and more accurately, and we'll see. And he also has to stay healthy. I mean, your availability is kind of important, and he gets hurt every year. So we'll see. But with Deshaun, looks good under center.
Right.
Looks good under center. So good for him. And so if you're going to make that transition, I need to see you do that pretty quickly.
And if you have, exactly. If you have an idea if there's a backside rusher coming your way and you can get out of that way, climbing the pocket or whatever, it's not about, mobility always. It's about pocket mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady isn't fast, but he can climb or he can, shift to his left or to his right based upon the pressure that's coming from the interior or the exterior. And that extra second or that extra half a second.
Guys do that, right?
That's all you need. That's all you need. Sometimes they do it to change angles, and that's the really good players. They change the angle of the throw. Roethlisberger's unbelievable at it. Aaron Rodgers is the best of the game at it. Jameis is elite at it already. But as long as you have pocket mobility, I mean, that changes the course of everything. Russell Wilson had that from the get-go.
Yeah.
When we saw him in college.
The only thing we worried about Russell was not that. It was height.
It's like you got a clean shot on him, and then all of a sudden, yep. Right,
Yeah,
but you know what? He's not down the field running for 15 yards.
No.
He just climbed up behind the center and then fired a strike 30 yards down the field. That's the difference in the pro game.
Dan Marino who was largely a statue, was probably better than anybody I ever saw. Who is as immobile as he was. Now he had a lightning fast release too. I mean, lightning fast release. Go back and watch tape of Dan Marino. It's insane. But when you watched him in the pocket when things were crumbling around him and pressure was coming, no panic, trusted that quick release and that accuracy,
quiet lower body, right?
Quiet. Yeah. And when he did make a move, it was oh so subtle. Where you would watch it, it was just a slight shift, a slight step here or there, quickly regained mechanics and fired it, and it was on you. I mean, it was on you. That's what we talk about with the pocket mobility, and people hear that phrase, I think, sometimes, and they think, well, why is he describing that guy as a mobile quarterback within the pocket? Guys that can take off and do things that most quarterbacks can't. It's fun to watch, but it gets beaten out of all of those guys, and it always really has. There are exceptions. Steve Young was always mobile. Brett Favre was always mobile. Aaron Rodgers is still very mobile. Fran Tarkenton back in the day, Roger Staubach back in the day, very, very mobile. But again, as mobile as Russell Wilson is, and he is, he's looking to throw the football down the field, and that's the mobility you're looking for. It's great if you can take off and make a play for me in a pinch, but even Cam Newton, who's massive, biggest dude to ever play the position, he's a freak. If you're ever standing by Cam Newton, he's a freak of nature. But already we're seeing that all of that size, all of that mobility, all of that speed is getting beaten out of him. He's tired of getting hit. He has suffered injuries. The rest of his career is largely going to be spent from the pocket, having to read a defense and make consistent throws. He's had a year where he did it, but he hasn't always done it. It's why before the MVP season, we wondered what he was going to be. His attitude wasn't always the greatest. Off the field, I've grown to like him a lot. He's the most charitable guy. He seems sincere in the way that he helps children, loves the fans, and does all that stuff. Bravo. I think that's great. But merely speaking about what I think he's going to be moving forward, I think he's on the decline.
I think there's a difference in watching, as a college football fan and a pro football fan, a mindset. So if your defense is on the field on a Saturday or a Sunday, for example, for me at least, if a quarterback breaks the pocket on a Saturday and then he's rounding the corner and his head's down and he's running down the field, it's oh bleep. It's, oh, man, are you kidding me? Really, you're going to let this happen? Because you're a big play away, a bust away from something happening. In the NFL, it's quite the opposite. Unless you're inside the 10-yard line, on defense, you're in the red zone. You want to keep everything in front of you because over the long haul, teams just aren't going 80 yards per drive unless Lovie Smith's your head coach.
Yeah.
In which they will every drive.
Every time, buddy.
That's not, But it's the guys that break the pocket or get away from that first rusher and they're looking down the field. That's when you say, oh, bleep.
We got a problem.
Because in college
Standing
football,
plays, making those throws.
You're not expecting a player to be able to look down the field, a quarterback in college, on the by and large, for 4 and 5 seconds and then to be able to deliver a strike. Like that's just it's like leaving a standard college basketball player open from 20 feet.
Right.
They're going to make them here or there, but it's not like it's
not like the NBA.
Ray Allen's wide open.
Right.
Where the NFL is littered with Ray Allens. If they have a chance and they're looking down the field, that's your ass, man. You're done.
Typically, yeah.
So I think that's the difference is in the pros.
Well, that's why.
If you generate the extra couple of seconds, you're looking down the field, and that's what's going to be the most beneficial to your offense because it puts you in scoring range.
Freaking Ben Roethlisberger's ability to extend plays by simply being a mountain of a man.
You're dead. If it gets past 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi,
you're dead.
Now you're dead. And now he's broken the pocket, and that throw is always going to be accurate.
Or he threw your defender to the ground and kept upright in the pocket because he's 265 pounds and extraordinarily strong. It's crazy. He's the only guy I can think of that does that routinely. Just kind of bitches defenders.
Right.
These are grown men. It's nuts.
And think about it. In college football, the only time you do something like that is when you're playing a Heisman candidate. You know what I mean?
Jameis did it to BC.
By and large, okay, who is that? Well, Scott Wood at NC State, but who is the kid from Florida, the white kid who could hit from the score, the scorer's table? It's like if that dude's open, well, that's your ass, even in the college game. But by and large, if just some wing is open on a random Thursday night in the ACC and he's shooting a three,
whatever,
maybe it goes in, maybe it doesn't. But
unless indeed we're at the TLC Double C and it's Scott freaking Wood, right. It's going down.
But if you're playing Russell Wilson on a Thursday night, up in Raleigh-Durham, and you can't get him down on the ground,
good night.
Here comes a gain of 32.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
School essentials. Get in today for amazing deals like select $3 Home Expressions towels, $5 tees for the family, and denim for guys and juniors just $15. Also available in Husky and Girls Plus. Plus, stack on the savings and get your coupon on the JCPenney app to save an extra 15%. Hurry, JCPenney's Power Penny Days end Sunday. That's getting your pennies worth. JCPenney. Coupon valid 8/17 to 8/20 on select items in store and at jcp.com. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
The Knolls are heating up, and so are the Makita deals at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, your Big Bend Makita Pro Center. The Build Your Own Kit promo is here with many options to choose from. Buy a Makita Dual Base Starter Kit with bag, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and pick your 2 bare tools. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, your professional and serious do-it-yourself shop. 1110 Stuckey Ave, Tallahassee, or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Call them at 580-1200 in Tallahassee or 926-1144 in Crawfordville. Online at CTF.NU.
Are you ready? The movie critics are saying Logan Lucky is a freewheeling, double-dealing, country-fried, hootenanny heist flick that burns rubber.
That don't make no sense.
Good gravy. This movie is a good time.
This is a surprise.
A laugh-out-loud, funny romp. A high-spirited, low-down blast. It's the perfect late summer cocktail.
People say that.
From the director of Ocean's 11.
This is gonna be good.
Logan Lucky. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. Everywhere Friday.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history.
August 16th, 1948. Arguably the greatest baseball player of all time. Babe Ruth died from throat cancer in New York City at age 53. His career was a collection of highlights. At the time of his retirement, Ruth was the all-time leader in home runs in a career with 714, and in a season with 60. His number 3 would be retired by the Yankees.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The arbitrator who reduced Greg Hardy's suspension for alleged domestic violence from 10 games to 4 will also hear the appeal of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Harold Henderson will hear that appeal on August 29th. Elliott was accused by an ex-girlfriend of domestic assault, but no charges were ever filed. The Saints fire 2 team doctors after a misdiagnosis on cornerback Delvin Breaux, who will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken leg. Doctors Derek Jones and Misty Surrey initially called that injury a bruise. Yankees and Mets at Citi Field, 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN. Kei Nishikori, who's currently 9th in the world tennis rankings, will miss the rest of the season, including the U.S. Open, with a torn tendon in his right wrist.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Nice. Song never gets old. Before we turn it over to probables, which is code for before I read the pitchers who will be on the mound tonight. John Franklin III, nomadic as he is leaving Auburn and headed to Florida Atlantic. And so it is that Lane Kiffin says, "Bring me everyone." And if you've got that, that would have been quick.
Bring me everyone.
Wow.
Bring me everyone.
One of the great, great movies. And that, too, never gets old. Auburn quarterback turned wide receiver John Franklin III has decided to transfer to Florida Atlantic. So has half the country that couldn't make it where they were originally, or in this case, secondarily. Franklin, who rose to fame via the Netflix documentary series Last Chance U, transferred to Auburn from East Mississippi Community College prior to last season, served as the Tigers' backup quarterback, completed 14 passes on the season. He will be playing for Coach Lane Kiffin with the Owls quarterback DeAndre Johnson, a transfer from Florida State University, who appeared in Season 2 of Last Chance U, is also at Florida Atlantic. So I say again, bring me everyone.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
I'm doing what I need to do for the betterment of myself as a player and a man, Franklin wrote. I am coming home looking forward to playing my last college season at FAU under Coach Lane Kiffin. Excited to see what God has in store for me on this journey. Franklin also thanked coaches, players, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, listen, I that kid was always a nice enough kid. Wish him well. We'll see.
I liked interviewing him for the 5 minutes I did when we were out in Pasadena for the title game. Because
stood right next to him, warming up on the field down there in Pasadena.
He was, really? That was the next year, the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, yeah.
I talked to him.
He was also standing right next to J.J. Cosentino, who I thought, that dude's a tight end.
You know, we didn't go down to the field for the actual BCS title game. We went for the Rose Bowl the next year.
Yeah.
Until after the game.
Until after the game. We were there after they had won the national championship.
I have to say, though, they took it to a whole new level for the Rose Bowl and the way that field was manicured. That was on a completely different plane. It was just stunning how nice that football field was that day.
My favorite stadium field backdrop moment ever in anything that I've ever done in covering college football, anywhere, anytime, anyplace. That stadium, that moment, those 2 years, that run in Pasadena, it is absolutely worthy of being called the granddaddy of them all.
When we did the breakout interviews for Florida State players for the title game, I talked to John Franklin for a sidebar because he was playing the role of Nick Marshall for the scout team.
That's right.
And I just remembered, you know, he was so small, man. I mean, I'm talking tiny. And
well, especially back then.
They're live, you know, as scout teamers. I was thinking, you're going against Mario Edwards and Telvin Smith and LaMarcus Joyner.
Better
and
get
Timmy
down.
Jernigan.
Better get down.
How are you still standing? I mean, he was all of 5'10", 150 pounds. It was just, but he was really, really fast. But it was just incredible.
He got to about 6'2", though. I think eventually he got to where he was, because down on the field at Oregon, against Oregon, he was a little bigger.
Yeah,
but you're right. By the way, former Oklahoma quarterback Chris Robinson announced later that he too would be joining Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic. All right, so one more time around the block, baby.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
One of my very favorite actors, for that matter. If you would, cue it up, good sir. It's time.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Just so you know, the Pirates choked the game away today in the 9th. While I was on the air, and none of you could tell. That's the kind of professionalism we aspire to around here. 9th inning, absolute meltdown, lead the whole game. Team collapses in the 9th, and your host, fairly passionate about said team choking away the lead, never misses a beat. You don't have to fawn, but please recognize.
You don't have to fawn, but you can be fond.
Rays Jays. Faria Stroman. That can't be right. I thought he's no. Is that right? Stroman? Is Gesellman starting tonight for the Mets?
It could be. Sure. Yeah. Why not me?
Gesellman's going to start tonight for the Mets. Garcia's going to start for the Yankees. Looks like his beard is painted on. Cardinals, Red Sox, Lance Lynn, Eduardo Rodriguez.
I think I would say the Mets game is on ESPN tonight.
You won't watch it.
Probably not. But if you catch a couple innings of it, take a look at our first base prospect, Dom Smith. He's one of the top prospects.
Don't you have a kid named Rosario at short?
That's the number one prospect.
He's good. Yeah. I've already seen him.
Oh, man.
He can move.
He's really fast.
You should watch the games because of him. He's good.
I am watching him and Smith. Yeah. Well, Dom Smith already has a pot belly, and he looks like he's 35 going on 40.
I love it. Twice divorced, balding.
Yes, I'm not exaggerating.
Kids all over the country.
The team's already worried about his conditioning. I mean, it's just okay.
Dom! Can we get it together even a little bit? As he smokes a cigarette in his locker.
You remind me of Cecil Fielder at 50.
Reds, Cubs, Homer Bailey, John Lackey. Tigers, Rangers, Sanchez, that'd be Annabelle. And Cole Hamels. D-backs, Houston, Tawan Walker, Charlie Morton. Cleveland takes on Minnesota. That is Carlos Carrasco and Kyle Gibson. We got Braves, Rockies. Voltinovich goes for the Braves. John Gray going for the Rockies. And finally, White Sox, Dodgers. Carlos Rodon goes for the White Sox, who since winning the World Series have largely been absolutely irrelevant, so much so that people can't remember they're in the league. Dodgers, Yu Darvish.
I am stunned that Carlos Rodon still has an arm after what they did to him at NC State.
Threw a season-high 8 innings just last Thursday, Tom. Has had 35 strikeouts over his last 4 starts.
He's probably thrown less pitches in those 4 starts than he did for one Saturday for NC State.
And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. All right. You know, man, just giddy with today's effort over there, today's show. Tom was great. I was spectacular. Matthew was right on point today. We just did great work today, Tom. Can I tell you that? Just great work. You guys down there on the floor and all that, too? Good stuff.
I was just really happy. I had a playbook, and somebody wanted my playbook, and so I handed him my playbook.
I'm picturing that guy, who we both adore, somewhere alone eating a sandwich, hoping that nobody catches him, calling plays to the air. As he takes another bite of a hoagie. Like, John.
The only person who's looked at my playbook is Betsy from the Waffle House. She's every day there she is. She's consistent.
3:32 in the morning. It's
There's
just me
John
and her.
again with his big binder.
He's got his binder. And
it's not a binder, it's a playbook.
And by the way, he's peppy as he goes into. He's been up for over an hour. You can't wait. Front row. That's up next. Hang in. It's a good show. You should listen to it. See you guys tomorrow.